Hi collective, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. Just a heads up, if you haven't been here before, my readings do tend to be fairly long. They tend to be very yappy, they tend to be deep dives. So feel free to grab a hot or cold beverage of choice, get settled, get cozy, because we have a lot to get through today. Today's reading is titled Past Life Magic Your Soul Still Holds, Ancient Gifts You've Carried Across Lifetimes. So in this reading, we're going to be exploring the gifts, talents, powers, and skills that your soul has never ever forgotten. The magic you've carried with you from lifetime to lifetime. These are the abilities your soul didn't lose, didn't drop, didn't leave behind in another century. Your soul packed these gifts up, reincarnated, and said, yep, do you know what? I'm bringing these ones with me. The vibe of this reading, it's kind of going to be a hype you up style one, which I know you guys really like. And the thing that I was getting in my head was, if you've seen The Lion King, if you think of the scene where Mufasa appears in the clouds to tell Simba to remember who he is. In this reading today, I'm Mufasa, you're Simba. So listen to your daddy, because I'm about to tell you how to step back into your rightful throne using these past life powers your soul already knows how to use, okay? A while back now, I did a reading on fears carried over from a past life, which I just thought was a really interesting concept. But today, we're flipping the energy. So what about the blessings? What about the parts of you that were always meant to uplift and empower and inspire you? What about the things your soul is genuinely proud of? That's the energy we're tapping into today. So this reading is meant to help you remember not just the past life itself, which we will discuss, but why your soul brought this gift into this lifetime now. There might be a reason it's resurfacing. Maybe this is the chapter where you're finally meant to use it. We're going to be using a mix of oracle cards and tarot cards today, and here's what the reading is going to cover. So at the beginning of each pile, we're going to be looking at your current energy and fun confirmations. So as usual, things like numbers, astrological placements, names, or just oddly specific random details that are coming through. These things at the beginning don't have to resonate in order for a pile to be yours. These are just extra specific messages for people who chose the same pile as you. But I do like to do them at the beginning so they find who they're for. We're then going to be looking at the main gift or skill your soul has carried over from a past life. There might be more than one skill coming through, and if that's the case, I will mention those. We're going to be looking at who you might have been in that past lifetime and how you learned or mastered this gift back then. We're going to be looking at how that same gift or gifts are showing up in your life right now. We're going to be looking at practical examples of how you might use those today. And I'm going to be giving you some gentle advice on how you can nurture this gift or gifts, and what doors this ability or abilities might open up for you, and what your past life self wants you to know about this gift right now. We're also going to be covering whether this gift ties into a bigger soul mission or purpose. Just to let you know, you are absolutely welcome to pick more than one pile if you feel called, especially if you resonate with the idea of having had multiple past lives with different abilities. And just a quick note, disclaimer sort of thing here, if you came to this reading thinking like, you know, I know that I was a healer in ancient Egypt, or I swear I was a pirate in 1700 something, and a different past life comes through today, it doesn't mean the other one was wrong. It just means another lifetime wants to step forward right now. You know, sometimes your soul is like, yeah, you know, the Renaissance life was cute, but this is the life you need to hear about today, because you could have had multiple, right? And on the other hand, if you have already been told about this exact past life or gift before and it shows up again here, then I guess you can take that as double confirmation, and confirmation that this gift is very important and very active in your current timeline. As always, take what resonates and leave the rest. The examples I give are just that, examples. They are there to help ground the message, but they're not meant to box you in any way. You know, this is a collective reading on the internet. As I always say, I'm not holding you hostage here, I promise. If at any point the energy doesn't vibe, feel free to click out. Your piece comes first, always. With that said, I want to go ahead and introduce the piles. We have 5 piles to choose from today. So over here we have pile 1 with the Light Seer's Tarot and the Cactus sticker. Over here we have pile 2 with the Wild Unknown Tarot and the Rainbow sticker. Here we have pile 3 with the Botan Tarot and the Elephant sticker. Here we have pile 4 with the Everyday Witch Tarot and the Lightbulb sticker. And here we have pile 5 with the Pacific Northwest Tarot and the Turtle sticker. Once you've chosen your pile, you can head to the pinned comment or the description box below. You will find timestamps there that will take you straight to the start of your chosen reading. Before we dive in, I just want to thank you all so much for being here. I'm not sure if this video will go up before or after my birthday, but either way, your presence and your feedback are honestly the best gift I could ask for. Every like, every comment, every person telling me like this resonated, even if it's the tiniest thing, that just absolutely means the world to me, and it lets me know that these readings are reaching the people they're meant to reach. So if you enjoy this reading, please don't forget to like, comment, hype, share, subscribe, whatever you feel comfortable doing, all of that good stuff. It is the easiest and most powerful way to support this channel, and it genuinely helps me more than you know, and it really does mean a lot as well. So yeah, happy Scorpio season, happy birthday to me. And with that said, collective, let's get into these past life powers. I'll see you at your chosen pile. Hi Pile 1 Collective, if you chose Pile 1 and you chose the Lightseer's Tarot and you chose this cute little cactus sticker with the smiley face, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. Today's reading is titled Past Life Magic Your Soul Still Holds. Ancient gifts you've carried across lifetimes. If you would like the full breakdown of what this reading entails, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking that out so you know what to expect today. But just to briefly recap the vibe that we're going to be going into so you know what to expect, think of the Lion King scene with Mufasa in the clouds. Mufasa shows up to remind Simba who he is. So in this scenario, I'm Mufasa, you're Simba. Listen to your daddy because we're about to reveal the power your soul has never forgotten and how you can step into it right now. We're going to be using oracle cards and tarot cards today. Okay, so without further hesitation, let's see what came through for you today, Pile 1. I'm just going to pop your little cactus sticker to one side so we can focus on these cards in front of us. Let's get right into it and just look at the oracle cards first, because I don't think I've used this past life oracle deck before on this channel, so that's exciting. Okay, so let's start with that. We have got astral experiences. Of course we do. Of course we do. Out of body experience, near death experience, between lives, post life review. And from the Wandering Soul Oracle, we've got luck. Some of you are dipping out already. You're like, look, well, that's not fucking me. My life's a shit show. Stay with me because we'll talk about that. I want to look at all the other cards first. I know if you're like me, you start to kind of get like a story in your head as we're pulling the cards. But yeah, stick with me. Even if you don't feel like a lucky ducky, just bear with, because we're going to cover lots of different things, I'm sure. From the Green Witch Oracle, we've got number 19, Strength, Fennel. And from the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Prioritize Reflection. And let's have a look at your tarot cards now. Starting off over here on the left, we have got the Six of Swords reversed. Clarifying the Six of Swords reversed, we have the Eight of Cups reversed. We have got the Six of Pentacles, and clarifying the Six of Pentacles, we've got Death Rebirth, number 13. We've got the Tower, number 16. We've got Queen of Pentacles, clarifying the Tower. We have got the Seven of Pentacles, and clarifying the Seven of Pentacles, we have got the Nine of Wands reversed. Alright, so before we get onto the main reading, let's start with some confirmations, as we always do. So this is, I guess, the yappy section. Just know that these are optional confirmations. They don't have to apply for this to be your pile. They are just extra little winks from spirit for the people who need them. So if something lands, amazing, let me know if it does. If not, don't worry, this message can still be yours. So I always like to start off by mentioning the numbers on the cards. We have significantly number 19 showing up here. So that could be relevant as a birthday, the 1st, 9th or 19th of a month, a life path number 1 or 9, a January or September birthday, the 1st house, so Aries energy, or 9th house, Sagittarius energy, and the themes associated with those houses. Your birth year starting with 19, so late 20s and up like me, or since this is a past life reading, this could hint at a lifetime in the 19th century. And if you're someone who sees angel numbers 1919, that's all about a cycle closing and a new one beginning, I believe, so very on theme with the death/rebirth card that we pulled. Now, just a few random specifics that are coming through to me right off the bat. Someone here is very familiar with astral travel. Either you guys do that a lot in dreams, or you're very aware of having those out-of-body experiences often. Some of you could have even had a near-death experience, or even multiple close calls within this lifetime. I'm also seeing, as another specific confirmation, I'm seeing one of those pocket-sized angel gifts. You know, like those tiny ornaments, or like a little bit of jewelry on a little piece of backing cardboard, and it says something like "you are protected" or "make a wish" or something like that. Like sometimes you can get a little bracelet, or sometimes it's literally just like a tiny crystal angel. Maybe you've received something like that lately, or you've gifted something like that lately. I randomly saw Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. So take that as you will. There's something about mirrors, portals, glamour magic, reflections. I'm feeling like how your hand feels when you place your palm against cold glass. I'm seeing a handprint on glass. So Hall of Mirrors, something about Hall of Mirrors as well. Like one of those places that you go to where like it elongates you or it makes you really squat. Those mirrors that just like distort your shape. Something about that is coming through. Mirror halls, water spraying energy as well. Somebody here could have dyed their hair blue or a pastel colour in the past. Somebody here could wear wigs, or somebody's just bought a new wig. Chocolate coins, something about chocolate coins is coming through. I'm also hearing the Ace of Spades, like the song, but I'm also thinking of gambling, casinos, card games, Vegas kind of energy, something about Las Vegas, or even somebody who collects tarot cards or playing cards. I'm hearing something about a Regency ball. I'm seeing like big elaborate dresses, something about Bridgerton. Maybe somebody has watched that recently. Ballroom aesthetic, that's coming through. There's something about an old antenna, like I'm seeing an old TV antenna. I'm also hearing Ariel, and now I'm thinking about Ariel from The Little Mermaid, so siren energy, Pisces energy, ocean symbolism. For someone, I'm seeing like an alien antenna too, so maybe an extraterrestrial encounter or astral contact, that could be relevant. Somebody's just bought a black jumpsuit, that's coming through. I can also smell Snow Fairy from Lush, so someone loves the Snow Fairy scent, or somebody loves sparkly things or glittery things. There's something about a snowball fight, glitter, something shimmery, fairy energy as well. And of course, you chose that cactus sticker, so maybe you own a cactus, or there's some kind of connection to a hot or dry climate, deserts, camels, Middle Eastern heritage or culture, maybe even tied to the past life coming through today. So that's what I'm getting for your confirmations. Again, just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. These are just little energetic pings in case Spirit is trying to say like, yes, this is for you. Okay, so the first weird thing that happened for you guys who chose pile 1, and this might be a very specific extra confirmation for some of you, but it's when the Death and Rebirth card came out. It's a beautiful card and there's such an empowering message there, and I definitely feel like that's something that's pertinent to your reading, and we will talk about that. But when I was pulling it, my instant reaction was, I have never seen this card before in my life. Like, to the point where initially I thought, like, does this belong to another deck? I just couldn't remember this specific death card ever looking like this. Even though it's beautiful, I love the imagery on it, but it was just this weird dissociative feeling almost, and that is basically impossible because I've had this Lightseers deck forever. I use it constantly. I'll show you, like, it's here. If you look at the edges, like the edges are fraying, the colour is coming off. This deck is very well loved. I've definitely seen every card, and if you own this deck, you're probably like, Nosy Witch, what the heck are you talking about? Like, that's always been the death card. And I know, logically, but the feeling was so Mandela effect-ish, like a tiny little glitch. Something familiar suddenly felt unfamiliar. It was like a moment of newness. Yeah, not quite dissociation, but almost. And that feels like a message for you guys. So quick confirmation stream here. Some of you, it's like you get those glitch in the Matrix moments. You get deja vu a lot. Maybe you get this feeling like you recognize rooms that you've never actually been in, or you experience people coming up to you and talking to you like they know you, and you're like, I have literally never met you before, or vice versa, you know, people asking if they do know you because there's this uncanny feeling of recognition. And of course, yeah, maybe they're just trying to flirt with you, maybe they're trying to raise you up, like, oh, have we met before? Of course, that could be the case. But a lot of you truly do have that energy that people recognize across lifetimes, and I won't be surprised. I know this is a past life reading, but I actually won't be surprised if you guys who pick pile 1 have had multiple past lives, and you might particularly connect to them through astral travel. I know we mentioned that in one of the confirmations, but the past lives oracle card that came out, you know, it literally talks about astral experiences, out-of-body experiences, near death, between lives, that kind of thing. Some of you live there in your dreams. Like, places are hyper detailed in your dreams. You get fully immersed. You know, it feels less like a dream and more like a case of I was literally living another life. And I'd be curious if that happens to you guys, because this actually happens to me a lot. So if this is you, tell me in the comments, because I want to hear your stories. I've always had super vivid dreams, to the point where sometimes I wake up exhausted because it's like I've lived a whole day, but just in another universe. I don't know if you guys get that. And I'll actually, one thing I've talked to people in my life about a lot is the fact that I will visit these specific worlds and there's continuity. So for example, to describe what I mean, in the dream, I will know the layout of my house. I'll know what my job is. I have friends there. All of that, and it's familiar even if I've never met those people in my actual, in real life dream. Me just knows, like, oh, these are my people, this is my job, this is where I go. And I think that's really common, right, for those of us who have and have always had like vivid dreams. But when I talk about the continuity thing, it will be like I'll have this dream and I'll visit this world and things will be one way, and maybe I have a friend in that world who's like pregnant or something, and then I won't dream about that world again for a few months. But when I go back, the friend who was pregnant has had the baby, and it like picks up where it left off. Like the world has been going on without me, if that makes sense. Like things have just been really busy without me. So yeah, if someone was pregnant last time in the dream, this time, months on, I'm meeting the baby. The whole thing kept running whilst I was gone. So if you know what that's all about, whether it's from a scientific or a psychological or a spiritual angle, please fascinate me in the comments if you know more about that than I do, and like, I guess the brain mechanisms of it and things, because it's so trippy and I love it. But yeah, sometimes it just feels like you're living another life, and you'll know that if you have those really vivid dream experiences too, which you probably do, pal 1. But yeah, anyway, this kind of ties right into your Six of Swords reversed, clarified by the Eight of Cups reversed. Both reversal energies sort of read like it's hard to leave what's familiar, even when your soul knows that it's time. And yet, with death and rebirth clarifying the Six of Pentacles, your power actually lies in the transition. It's in the release and the rebalance that follows. It's very much like, I remember exactly how to do this because I've done it before. It's like your soul is this seasoned traveller between lives, timelines, and phases. On that astral note, if some of you have had out-of-body experiences in this life, or some of you have had close calls when it comes to NDEs, you know in your bones that the soul and the body are not the same thing. And parts of your consciousness seem to truly remember other lives, and sometimes it's like those memories might overlap, which brings me to that sort of Mandela-like feeling that I got with the Death card. You know, your soul is used to jumping timelines, quantum jumping, and time-bendy energy. That showed up in a recent reading I did about your witchy powers, so if you pick that pile in that reading, if you watched it, you don't have to, but you might want to give it a go. But I feel that here too, is what I'm saying. So yeah, sometimes you might wake up in this life and something is just off. Like people treat you slightly differently, or a minor detail has shifted. In my last reading I did where I talked about this, I referenced the lamp guy, and a commenter, I don't want to call you out because I don't know if you want to be called out, but they clarified that they knew what I was talking about. So if that's you, I'm kind of getting like a similar energy here. But yeah, it's like your soul is so accustomed to leaping that it does it mid-dream. This is one of your gifts. You can shift reality by shifting you. And with the Wandering Soul luck card coming through, I'm hearing lucky breaks. And before anyone bows out, before anyone's like, nope, that's not me, like bad things just love me, I get it, and I'm not invalidating your experience, but I do want you to kind of zoom out on your timeline, because if you're here, you made it through things that could have gone much worse, and maybe it was by the skin of your teeth, right? But last minute pivots, little escapes, right place, right time moment. You know, I even think about my own past, like when I get flashbacks of me as a teenager, drunk in a park and walking home at 3 a.m. I think about all the times I did that. Please never do that if that's you, especially as a young woman, you know. But the fact I did that all those times and nothing that awful ever happened and I'm still here, I think, damn, like, I got really, really lucky there. And that doesn't mean that nothing bad ever happened, but I can see where it could have been a lot worse and wasn't. And for you, I'm getting that similar thing. It's not saying that nothing bad ever happened to you, because that's not true. You've probably been through it like anybody else, but I am getting like those nick of time exits, like leaving the company before it goes bust, or choosing not to take the train that day and you later find out that the train was really delayed or it crashed or something like that, something as extreme as that even. You know, stepping away from a relationship just before it swallowed you whole. That's part guardian angel, it's part Queen of Pentacles wisdom from a past life, it's part tower training, it's part of your past life self nudging you, saying like, not this time, we're here for a reason. It's that own inner wisdom and inner authority showing up for you. And let's talk a little bit about that past life version of you, because this tower with the Queen of Pentacles is pretty loud. I'm getting someone who was astonishingly strong and responsible. And we have the Strength card showing up here. I know we don't have it with the tarot, but we have it with the Green Witch Oracle. But yeah, very strong and responsible, perhaps a leader, a caretaker, or I'm getting this vibe of like someone who carried the entire village on their back. Very dignified, very composed. You've always radiated this energy of like, you will never catch her slipping. But pride and duty were armor in a past life. And that's something you could have carried with you too in this life to some extent. And I'm getting specifically though in this past life, when crisis hit with that tower, you, past life, you stayed either out of obligation, out of integrity, or maybe for some of you because you didn't have another way out, you didn't have the resources, the rights, the safety to find an exit, and that devotion that you had was noble, but it also cost you. You know, this is someone who would fight until the end because that's what honor demands. If you were a queen in this past life, it's you saying like, I will not flee while my people suffer. If you were a woman without rights in this past life, it's I cannot leave. But either way, staying became self-sacrifice. And here's the heart of this message. You don't find change easy, but you are excellent at it. It's your gift. It's the thing that past life you couldn't do, either because they refused to or they weren't allowed to, depending on the circumstance. And it's like they ache for you to do what they couldn't. They're saying transform earlier, do it on purpose, and do it for you. To look at the overarching message this spread is giving, if we look at that Six of Swords reverse and that Eight of Cups reverse, that speaks to this tug of war with leaving. The Tower and the Queen of Pentacles, that is crisis meets responsibility and identity. The Seven of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands reversed, that's evaluation, it's fatigue, and it's the moment you stop white knuckling and choose wiser investment. And with that Six of Pentacles and the death and rebirth, that's like balance restored through release and renewal, generosity directed in healthier, more reciprocal ways. And I feel like what your past self version of you wants you to know, what they want you to learn, it's like the ability to learn when endurance is a superpower and when it becomes martyrdom. It's like they're saying, we know you can push through anything, but should you? Should you? Because yes, when it's a fitness routine or it's a craft or it's a study schedule, when it's a healing practice, your consistency and your devotion and dedication is legendary. But if it's in a job that makes you feel nauseous every single morning, if it's a relationship that drains your life force and your very essence, that is the sunk cost fallacy at play. You pour in because you promised yourself you would, because loyalty is part of your love language, because if you said you do it, you'll die on that hill, even if the hill is crumbling. And I hear like some of you asking, but isn't that integrity? And your past self is like, sometimes integrity is choosing to leave before the tower collapses on you. That's still honor. That's wisdom. That's the wisdom they want you to carry. You know, you might recognize this pattern of you giving your absolute all. That Six of Pentacles in overdrive, because you are capable of carrying more than most. You become the rock. You become the responsible one, the one that never flinches. But when that return is lopsided, when it's askew, you burn out with that Nine of Wands reversed. And then everything ends suddenly and intensely, you know, the job, the friendship, the situationship, whatever it is. And then there's that self-judgment. There's that moment of like, you know, why can't I stick with things? But the truth here is, like, something you're very gifted at is that your design is to go through these transitions, these moments of metamorphosis. It's to grow beyond containers. It's to show others it is possible to start again. You are not meant to live in one era forever. You're meant to have 10 or more beautiful lives inside one. And yeah, you've had this timeless quality forever. People, like we said, they recognize you across lifetimes. You hold a mirror to other people. It's very Neptunian, it's very 12th house, Piscean kind of vibes. People project. I definitely think people do project. Some people might open up instantly because they see parts of themselves in you, and other people might get weird and guarded because they also see themselves in you, and maybe they don't like what they see. Like, you are a mirror. You don't even try. It's soul deep though. That reflective quality can make you very polarizing because people only meet you at the depth they meet themselves, and that's not a you problem. That is your gift working how it's always meant to work. So definitely, like, shape-shifting is a superpower of yours, not in a manipulative way. It's in a very skillful way. You can help people see what they need to see. In your past life, you might have had to shapeshift to literally survive, like to fit expectations, to protect a role, to keep dignified under intense scrutiny. I'm thinking of like, I guess like royal rules. Obviously in the UK we have the royal family, and the royal family, there's a different set of expectations for the royal family than there is for anybody else. The royal family cannot act like normal, regular people. You know, I'm thinking of always having to set a certain standard, always having to be dignified and composed, always getting things right, always carrying that standard. You might have carried that held to a higher standard thing into this life. Like, in school, as just one example, the chaotic kid who's always acting out could throw a chair across the room and get an eye roll, but the one time that you do something wrong, like even if it's something small, like you talk during class, suddenly the teacher is turning on you and like, I wouldn't expect this from you, pal one, and you get detention. And it's not fair, but it taught you that people tend to react more strongly when you switch up, which is why change might scare you, not because you can't do it, but because of that reaction that it evokes in certain instances. But your past self is saying, switch up anyway. That's literally your magic. Let's bring in that Green Witch strength card, because strength here, it's not about force, it's about nerve and it's about nourishment. You know, Fennel is about courage, digestion, soothing the system, processing change, not bulldozing through it. The number 19, it links to Sun and to Hermit energy, endings, birthing, beginnings. Also that angel number, to go back to that, 1919, a cycle completing so a new one can start. That tracked really well with that death and rebirth. You are built for new chapters. And with the Wild Muse, that prioritized reflection, that's your how-to. It's like, before you throw more bricks on a castle in a war zone, pause and ask yourself, is this field still mine? Is this investment fertile? Or am I just proving that I know how to suffer well? That I do it without complaining? That's that Seven of Pentacles wisdom. So a few real life examples to put that in a more tangible context. These examples don't have to apply to you. It's just extra confirmation. But let's say this is in terms of your career, your job. You commit hard, you show up, you can outlast everyone. You can do the job to a very high standard, but if you wake up queasy at the thought of 8 hours at that place every day. That's divine data. You know, if you leave right before the company collapses, that's luck guided by your past self. If opportunities flood in after you release something, that's your timeline stabilizing after a jump. You know, in terms of relationships, let's say, as another example, you're not one of those people who will jump ship at the first hurdle. You won't ask for a divorce the first time that you and your partner have an argument. You're not avoidant, you are very loyal. But if this relationship is chronically draining and you keep telling yourself, you know, this is what love is, this is hard, we have to work through it, your soul is asking, hard for what outcome? You know, if growth isn't reciprocal with that Six of Pentacles, endurance becomes just being a martyr for the sake of, again, proving how well you can hold it all, proving how well you can suffer. Some of you, it's like you have worth wounds tied up with that, but you do not have to prove yourself. This could relate to all or nothing cycles, you know, those periods of you giving everything, burning through your own reserves, and then you have this big dramatic exit because there's nothing left to give. The upgrade here is like, I think your past life self is asking for earlier course correction, like choose change before the fuel gauge hits 0 is what they're saying. And trust me, I understand this better than anyone. I know that change is hard. I have a fixed grand cross in my chart. I'm 8th house dominant. My sun opposes my moon. My Taurus moon just wants gooey comfort forever. And my Scorpio sun wants to burn everything to the ground and start again. Listen, I get it. But I've learned, very painfully, I've learned that my life really does bloom after I stop clinging. And it's the same message here. Your blessings accelerate the moment you say yes to your next form. And I don't know why I want to give this personal example. I'm not comparing you to a dog, but this is making me think of my dog. So my dogs are part beagle, and if you know anything about beagles, they can be very, very stubborn. And one of my dogs in particular, she has always been an absolute cuddle bug, but she is so determined and so stubborn. And if she decides on doing something, nothing can stop her. And the particular example I'm thinking of, if she gets it in her head that she is cuddling with me, that's what's happening. There's nothing I can do about it. She's determined. But the thing about me, though, is I often sit in very weird positions because that's what's comfiest. But to her, it doesn't matter. If she wants to sit on my knee, she's sitting on my knee. Even if I'm sitting with my legs crossed or with my legs up in the air, or I have the laptop on my knee typing, she will contort herself into the worst shape possible just to make it happen. And I can tell she's not comfortable. And I'm like, baby, you're not comfortable there. And she's just looking at me with this blank stare. She's like, I don't care. I wanted to get on and I'm on. And your past self is gently saying, don't contort to fit a box just because you can. Comfort and flow exist elsewhere, and when you choose them, your luck spikes. So how can you nurture this gift and work with it day to day? There's absolutely something about prioritizing reflection. You know, this could be a journal, it could be voice notes that you send yourself, it could be mirror gazing, it could be you asking yourself those tough questions, you know, what am I giving, what am I receiving, what wants to end, what wants to begin. Make reflection a rhythm, not a rescue mission. Fennel as an ingredient could help you out here in terms of finding your strength. You know, fennel tea, grounding food, real nervous system care. It's saying courage rises when your body feels truly safe. I think your past life self is encouraging you to track your luck. So literally keep a log. Like every time something happens that you feel grateful for, every near miss, every moment where you're like, I'm so glad that I got out of that when I did, every right place, right time synchronicity, build a case file for your future self. So the next time you're scared to jump, you have tangible proof that it's going to work out. They're asking you to practice micro deaths as well. Not tower deaths, but the mini version. So small endings that you choose on your terms, you know, unsubscribing, rearranging your room, changing your routine, practicing a gentle boundary. Teach your system that endings can feel safe and clean and sometimes even fun. Redistribute that Six of Pentacles. If you're pouring 90% into someone or something that returns 10%, reallocate that generosity. Generosity is still your gift, just point it to where reciprocity lives. Use your mirror magic consciously as well. You are a mirror anyway, so use it well. Choose who gets close. If someone cannot look at their own reflection, they will make you the problem. That's not a you fix, that's a you discern. And astral hygiene could be really important to you guys too. So with all that dream travel, set intentions before you go to bed at night. You know, tell yourself, I travel only to realms aligned with my highest good. Always keep water by your bed. Return to your body on waking as well. Make sure you practice grounding exercises. Press your feet to the floor. Put your hand on your heart, your hand on your stomach. If you remember details about the dream, jot them down. Continuity is a clue. And what your past life self wants you to know right now, they're saying you don't have to prove your courage by staying. Courage can also look like making the changes you need to make. They're saying integrity also looks like choosing yourself before the building collapses. They're saying you are not abandoning your people by surviving. You're leading by changing first. They're saying you are allowed to be brand new while still being true to you. And I want you to watch how your reality responds when you accept a rebirth sooner. People will literally say to you, you seem different, you look different, you've changed. That's your field recalibrating. That's that death and rebirth doing what it does, doing what you do best, transforming. That's your luck clicking into place because you stepped onto the timeline your soul already mapped. And if we link it back to that opening where I said, you know, that death card, it feels so unfamiliar. That is you after a transformation, the familiar suddenly feeling brand new. And other people will feel it too. Some will recognize you more deeply and some will step back. But both are correct and you are supposed to keep moving anyway. You have always been the one who can do the hard thing with grace. You carried kingdoms in other lives. You carried households in this one. You can still be that Queen of Pentacles, you know, resourced, composed, generous, without sitting in a burning tower to prove a point. Your magic is rebirth. Your lesson is timing. Your legacy is showing others how to survive by changing. When you choose the next version of you, the universe meets you fast, and you already know how to do it. Your soul never ever forgot. So that is your reading, Pal 1. That is where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. If you made it this far, I just want to thank you so much for being here, for listening, for receiving, and for letting me tap into your beautiful energy. I truly appreciate you more than you could ever know. We are right in the middle of Scorpio season at the time of me recording this. I don't know when the reading's going to go up. But happy rebirth season to all my little phoenixes out there. And a very special happy birthday to my fellow Scorpios, me included. If it's your birthday too, happy solar return, friends. If not, happy transformation season anyway, because this energy is powerful for all of us. With that said, if this reading resonated for you in any tiny way, please let me know. Please like, please comment, please share, please hype or subscribe. All of that good stuff. I see every single bit of engagement. I notice it, I appreciate it, and honestly, it is the best birthday gift you could give me. It also genuinely helps the channel grow and it lets me know that these messages are landing where they are meant to. With that said, I'm sending you so much love, so much protection, and so much clarity on your path. Thank you again for being here. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, Pal 1. Hi Collective! If you chose Pal 2, and you chose the Wild Unknown Tarot, and you chose this rainbow sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. Today's reading is titled Past Life Magic Your Soul Still Holds. Ancient gifts you've carried across lifetimes. If you would like a full breakdown regarding everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. For a quick little summary, just to recap the overall vibe, think the scene in The Lion King where Mufasa shows up in the clouds and tells Simba to remember who he is. In this reading today, I am Mufasa, you are Simba. Listen to your daddy because we're about to reveal the power your soul has never forgotten and how you can step into it right now. Alright, so without any further hesitation, let's get into your reading today, Pal 2. Let's see what came through for you. I'm just going to pop your little rainbow sticker to one side. We're going to start off by looking at your oracle cards. So over here, starting with this past life oracle, we've got Rebel. Love that for you, Pal 2. You will immediately know if this is you. Nonconformist, activist, revolutionary, anarchist. And we've got the cool little hippie van on this card. So we've got some rebels who chose Pal 2 today. I'm hearing rebel without a cause. I think you do have a cause though, hence activist. But yeah, let's go on. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting excited already. From the Wandering Soul Oracle, we have got See Beyond. Okay, psychics. I know that some other readers watch me, so if you're a reader yourself, that See Beyond makes sense. From the Green Witch Oracle, we have got number 18, Stimulation, Chilly. Okay, hot stuff. Sorry, I don't know why I'm being so annoying in this reading today. But yeah, from the Wild Muse Oracle, we have The Ship Has Sailed. So let's have a look at your tarot cards. We have got the Ace of Swords. I'm clarifying the Ace of Swords. We have got the Devil. We have got the Ace of Pentacles. A couple of aces. So first house, Aries energy might be relevant. Clarifying the Ace of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Cups in reverse, so another ace. We have got the Nine of Pentacles reversed. Clarifying the Nine of Pentacles reversed is the Ace of Wands. Oh my god, we have all the aces. And I promise this deck was very, very, very well shuffled. We have all the aces. That is insane. And we've got, imagine if another ace came through right now. Like, I know that's not possible, but can you imagine? We've got the Nine of Cups. And clarifying the Nine of Cups, we've got the Lovers. Alright, so before we get into the main reading, I want to start off by giving you your confirmations. As always, these do not have to apply for this to be your pile. These are just little winks from Spirit for the people who need them. So if nothing hits, don't panic. Your messages can still absolutely be here. I just like to do the first few minutes of the reading mentioning these things in case they hit home for somebody. So I always like to start by mentioning the numbers. So we've got number 18 showing up here. That could be relevant in terms of somebody being born on the 18th, the 1st or the 8th of a month. Life path 1 or life path 8 could be relevant. A January or August birthday. First house themes, I think we mentioned that. So physical body, identity, self-image, Aries energy, Mars energy. 8th house themes also, so death, rebirth, transformation, shadow, taboo, Scorpio energy, or something happening in Scorpio or Aries season. We are in Scorpio season right now at the time of me recording. Angel number 18, a phase ending and a better tomorrow aligning. Somebody seeing 18 repeatedly on the clock, on receipts, on timestamps, etc. Age 18 being a major turning point for somebody here. Any of that could apply. There is also a big third eye / spiritual activation confirmation here. Somebody may be going through or recovering from a third eye awakening. You might resonate with things like meditation and visualization, kundalini or yoga, breath work, amethyst, lapis lazuli, fluorite, frankincense or essential oils, diet changes, your intuition becoming louder than your logic. Somebody here could have a very restless or fast or overactive mind. I'm hearing something about a loud voice or a really iconic, contagious laugh. That could apply to somebody here. There's something about festivals coming through. I'm seeing something about rave fashion. I'm seeing fishnets, metallic or silver looking boots, DIY outfits, glitter chaos, that's coming through. Something about somebody who sews or thrifts or builds their outfits from scratch. I'm seeing something about a cut crease. We could have some MUAs who chose this pile. I'm seeing like a bold eyeshadow look as well. I'm now hearing the song Beauty School Dropout. I think it's from Grease. Maybe Grease, the film, is significant to somebody here. I'm also getting something about sci-fi movies. I'm getting something about The Matrix. I'm getting something about Star Wars. We could have some anime fans who chose this pile. I'm also seeing the word, sometimes these words flash up in my mind and I don't know how to pronounce them, but I'm seeing, is it like cinephile? Like a movie lover? So we could have some people who love to review films, or some of you studied media, something like that. I'm seeing very thin eyebrows, so it could be that some of you overplucked in the early 2000s like I did and your eyebrows never recovered, or some of you it could just be like a statement piece as you have really thin eyebrows, or maybe you have like shaved your eyebrows off before, or you have bleached them or something like that in the past. That's coming through. I know that won't be for everyone. I'm getting a very spicy energy from this pile, so like spicy personality, spicy humor. Maybe somebody likes spicy food. Maybe somebody puts hot sauce on everything. Maybe when you go to Nando's, you always get like a hot or extra hot Nando's. There's something about spicy books as well. Maybe you read or write spicy or romantic books. I'm getting something about somebody who literally makes their own marinades or sauces. Somebody could have gone as a pirate at Halloween. Somebody could love eccentric costumes or dramatic costumes when it comes to fashion. I'm getting that somebody here needs to feel mental stimulation in order to feel attraction. Like intelligence is really hot to someone here. I'm getting like a 60s or 70s vibe, a hippie aesthetic, somebody who's a free spirit, camper van dreams, psychedelic culture. Something about Stevie Nicks or Fleetwood Mac is coming through as well. That's come through before. Somebody here has had a psychedelic experience that triggered an awakening. I'm seeing silver lipstick specifically. I'm seeing like cyber looks or futuristic looks. Something about Y2K style. I've had this come through before, but something about Aaliyah music videos or early 2000s R&B fashion. Somebody who's known for always like spicing up their look. Maybe somebody never stays one particular aesthetic for too long. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. They are just little nudges for the people who needed an extra little bit of clarity to know that like this pile is for you. But anyway, on to the actual main portion of the reading now. The first message I was getting, and I was immediately excited when I picked up that past life oracle card, I'm getting that you are the rebel, the revolutionary, the one who came here to light the match. And the very first thing that came through when I tapped into your energy was this. In every lifetime, you have been the one who refuses to play along just because that's how it's always been done. You are the soul who gets dropped into a society. You scan the rules, you look at the power structures, you look at the cultural norms, and instead of thinking like, okay, how do I fit in? Where's my part in this? You have always thought, okay, but why do we do it like this? Like, who decided this was the normal way? And why are we all just pretending this is normal? You are not the soul who starts wars, but you are the soul who starts revolutions. Not through chaos for chaos' sake, but through clarity and conviction and calling bullshit where you see it. The Ace of Swords with that devil, that's literally saying, I see the system, I see the chains, I see the illusion, and I'm not playing along, I see right through it. The Ace of Wands with the Nine of Cups, that's the spark and the vision. It's the belief that life could be better or freer or truer if someone just had the guts to go first. And it turns out that someone is you. Even if you don't think that's the case, pal, too, that someone is you in this life, and I would say many of your lives. Sometimes you guys, I don't want to offend you, but you cannot keep your mouth shut. I don't know why I'm laughing. Like, it gets you in trouble because some of you are saying, like, I don't want to be this way, but your soul incarnated here to do that. Like, you managed to start a controversy just by being you, even if you're not trying sometimes, because your soul speaks out. It's this urge, it's this impulse to be like, I'll say it. You're like, you know, fine, if no one else is going to start this conversation, I will. The sort of, why are we acting like this is normal when it clearly isn't? You don't rebel just to rebel. You could have had that phase, like when you were younger, I could see that from you guys, where maybe you did say things to like stir the pot or be controversial. Maybe you identify with having like a little bit of an edgelord phase, which, you know, didn't we all? But yeah, I'm not getting that. It's more like you rebel because your soul physically cannot tolerate hypocrisy, cruelty, injustice, or stupidity disguised as tradition. So you don't break the rules because you're edgy. You break rules because half of the rules were made by people who were either afraid or corrupt or asleep. You have never been here to fit in. You've always been here to wake people fuck up, is what I'm getting. And I love that for you, pal, too. We could all do with a little bit of pal 2 energy. So yeah, the past life version of you. Let's talk about that. In one of your past lifetimes, if not all of your past lifetimes, you were absolutely some kind of rebel, a radical thinker, an abolitionist, an activist, a protester, a union organizer, a whistleblower. An underground voice of the people is something I'm getting, or somebody who said, like, this system is rotten and I refuse to pretend otherwise. Your oracle card literally says, like, rebel, nonconformist, anarchist, revolutionary, activist, which is tarot's way of saying, like, yeah, you weren't just here, like, peacefully knitting in the corner. You were storming the gates. You were the person who was always ahead of your time. You were the one everyone kind of side-eyed. Some people mocked, some people feared, some people tried to silence, until like 20 years later, when suddenly everyone is quoting you like you were always right. But you were right before it was safe to be right. Like, you took a risk, is what I'm getting. Like, you were the blueprint before the world was ready for the print. You know that feeling that you have even in this life where you try to explain something that feels so obvious in your mind and people look at you like you're speaking a different language? That is not new. You have lived that before. Your soul has always seen patterns long before the collective does. You are the one who thinks 5 years ahead, whilst everyone else is stuck in this mindset of like, oh, but this is just how we've always done it. Like, let's not fix what's broken. Well, that's the thing. You see what's broken, and you need to fix it. It is like this overwhelming urge, and it's not arrogance. It's not cockiness. It's foresight. You know, that See Beyond Oracle card, that's exactly it. You see the trends before they hit. You sense the next cultural shifts before they show up. You make these choices that everyone calls weird until suddenly they're copying you. You have Uranus energy. Uranus energy is coming through strongly. It's all over you, you know. Disruption, innovation, future thinking, rule breaking. You weren't meant to fit in with the times. You were meant to drag the times forward, kicking and screaming. Let's talk about that brain of yours, because I think it's got you in trouble. You were born with the kind of mind that goes, but why? Why though? Who benefits from this rule? What would happen if we just do the opposite? Or, you know, what if this normal way is actually the worst fucking way of doing things? And that's part of your gift. You don't just think outside of the box. You don't even recognise that the box is real. You're like, fuck that box. That box doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know why I'm so giddy. You're not like this free thinker because you want to be so unique and so not like the other girls. You're a free thinker because nothing else feels true to you. You know, this isn't performance either, it's soul memory. You were never built to obey. You were built to question, to disrupt, to expose, and to reimagine. And I'm actually going to give an example from my own life, not because I think everyone should do the same, but just because it's the clearest memory I have of looking at something normal and my soul just saying, like, no. And before I say this, like, let me be clear, I'm not judging anybody here. What feels wrong for me might feel totally fine for you, and that doesn't make either of us better or worse people. You know, that's the beauty of being human. We all have to figure out our own moral compass, and that's the point in this, like, us figuring that out for ourselves, not because society told us to, but because our soul did. So I'm not saying this as if it's like something groundbreaking, like, oh, I'm such a good person because I chose to do this. It's more just an example, but it can be any example for you. So my example is vegetarianism. I don't call myself a full vegan. Some of you guys know I have rescue chickens and I do eat their eggs, so I'm not vegan, but I try to be as plant-based as is possible for me. I do have certain very specific health needs due to a recent diagnosis, so that plays a part. But I've been like the least vegetarian for a very long time, and I know that's not groundbreaking. I'm not pretending that I invented tofu, okay? I wasn't the first vegetarian and I won't be the last. But in the specific working class community that I grew up in, it wasn't like normalised to be vegetarian, and I was only about 7 or 8 when I decided to be. I was always a massive animal lover. And even though I kind of knew that meat came from animals, like, I did understand on some level before this where it came from, but I hadn't really asked too many questions about it before. I think I had some kind of like magical Lion King idea in my head, like, you know, maybe it just happens naturally, like the animals die and then we eat them, that kind of thing. And then one day, some older girls on my street showed me a video about how the meat industry actually works, or they told me about it or something because they'd maybe learnt about it in school. And my soul just kind of said, no, like, that could not be what we're doing. And I made up my mind that day to become a vegetarian. And my parents weren't against it necessarily. They supported my, like, views. You know, my parents are animal lovers too, but they weren't vegetarian themselves. Like, nobody in my family was. Nobody really in my small community at that time was. And they were, I guess, just worried about me because I'm neurodivergent, so I was already a very picky eater due to sensory issues. And this was before things like veggie nuggets and oat milk were really commonplace. Like in the area I grew up in, it was very normal to have like meat, potatoes, veg. Like that was your basic meal. It wasn't, very adventurous. So it was more a case of, I guess, my parents being reluctant to it because they were like, oh, what are we going to feed her? Like, what will this girl eat? But no matter who tried to convince me that it was normal and like it's fine to eat meat, it just never felt normal to me. And that's the point here, not the specific thing. Your version of this might be completely different. Maybe it's about religion or gender roles or 9-to-5 culture or fast fashion or capitalism, school systems, whatever. But the pattern is the same. It's like everyone around you says, this is just how it is. It's fine. Like you can do it. You can participate in this. And your soul says like, okay, but does it have to be? And no, I don't think me not eating meat is going to change the whole wide world. But I do think there will come a time, maybe not in my lifetime, but I do think there will come a time in the future, if us humans survive that long, where, we look back and we go, did we really used to do that? Like the same way we look at certain things in history now and we go like, what the actual fuck? Why did we do that? That's how progress works. What seems normal in one era becomes unthinkable in the next era. And I just want to like restate here that I'm not blaming individuals for operating in a system that they were born into. Most of us are just literally trying to survive. We're just trying to feed our families and stay healthy and do the best we can with what we've got. And, I'm not saying here that I think Sharon buying a steak from Tesco is evil. I think the system that turned animals into commodities is the problem. Just like there are systems built on exploitation and inequality and oppression and profit over people in all facets of life. That's what I question here, not the individual, but the structure. So yeah, sometimes your soul knows long before the logic catches up, and that's the gift you have carried across lifetimes, part 2. That's the point in me saying this. You feel that, this isn't right vibration years before the collective sees it. And I just want to be really clear here before anyone just get triggered in the comments or thinks like I'm judging them. Again, when I say something didn't feel normal to me, I don't mean it in like a I'm better than you because I made a different choice sort of way. Again, I'm not out here judging Betty for buying a steak pie from M&S. I'm not judging Tracy for grabbing £4 dresses from Shein because that's what she can afford. I'm not judging Bob from down the road who uses AI to sort his finances for him because he struggles with a learning difficulty. That's not the point. It's not about the individual, right? The point is, even when everyone around you is acting like something is totally fine, you say, sorry, that just doesn't sit right with me. I'm going to do it differently. And it's not about being morally superior, but it's because you can feel that the system is wrong and you will be the one to start change, even if you are the one like standing on your own. And that's you all over. You don't go after individuals, you go after the structure. You're not screaming like everyone must be perfect morally. You go, okay, but why is this the way things are in the first place? You zoom out, you see the bigger picture, I think is the thing, and that is a huge gift of yours, pal, too. Because here's the thing as well, I'm sorry to go off on like a tangent about all of this, but most people don't do that. Most people have been trained to punch sideways instead of upwards. So people end up arguing in comment sections, like flipping preschoolers, saying, well, you use plastic straws, so you're a terrible person, or you put your recycling in the wrong recycling bin, like the world's most boring fucking playground roast battle. Meanwhile, the corporations, the billionaires, the corrupt governments, the genuinely oppressive systems are just sitting there like fucking Mr. Burns in The Simpsons, rubbing his hands together, like, yes, good, fight each other, stay distracted. And you're the one who goes, hang on, Brenda is not the enemy. The system is the enemy. Stop eating each other. We've got bigger fish to fry here. We've got bigger things to take down. And that's why you're dangerous in the best way. You know how to unify the people. You know how to make us come together despite our differences. You know how to make the most random group of humans, the punks, the accountants, the theatre kids, the stoners, the academics, the activists, and your nan, suddenly agree on the same causes because you know how to speak to people's souls, not their egos. You're the one who can walk into a room full of people who hate each other otherwise and somehow have them marching in the same direction an hour later because you march to the beat of your own drum and you get people to follow you. You're the spark that makes people go, okay, fine, you're right, let's burn it all down. You don't just fight the good fight, you recruit others into it. You're not just the rebel, you're the organizer, you're the rally cry, you're the who's coming with me person that people actually follow. And yes, this started early for you, pal, too. You probably relate to at least one of these things. Just to give some tangible examples, if this is you. Maybe you guys didn't do well in rigid school systems because you questioned authority. Maybe you were called difficult for having opinions adults didn't want to deal with. Maybe you were always told to stop overthinking when you were actually, it felt like sometimes the only one fucking thinking and using their brain at all. You felt older than your peers, like you could see things that they couldn't. You could have got labelled too political or too intense or dramatic when you were literally just calling out truths. You didn't understand why everyone could just accept things that felt inherently wrong to you. You weren't disrespectful, you just weren't blindly obedient, but sometimes people took that wrong because some people are raised to follow rules, but others, like you, come in remembering, power is only real because people agree to it. You don't cause trouble, you expose the trouble that was already there bubbling under the surface. So let's talk about how this gift showed up in your past life. And also what it cost you, because I feel like that is a thing here, pal, too. So in that past life, the version of you who came before this one, they were loud in a world that expected silence. They were awake in a world that rewarded sleep. They were free thinking in a world that punished anything outside of the script. And just like in this life, that sometimes didn't make you very popular. It made you dangerous, though. It made you a threat. Because people in power aren't afraid of evil, they're afraid of anyone who can see through the illusion, and that's exactly what you were, what you are. You didn't just challenge the rules, you questioned the people who made the rules. You weren't just rebellious, you were truthful, you were right, and that terrified people who benefited from obedience. So what happened in this life? Well, for some of you, your past life self was exiled, was punished, was imprisoned, was banished. I'm definitely getting like black sheep energy. You could have felt like the black sheep. I don't know why, I know we spoke about Lion King themes today in this reading, so maybe that's why this is in my head. But I'm thinking of, is it the Lion King 2? It might be in relation to Kovu. Shout out to any of you guys who had a crush on cartoon fictional lions, because Kovu was fucking hot. I think it was that film anyway, where he gets exiled and it's like, I can't remember what the song's called, but it says rejection and outrage or something. I can't remember, but if you've seen that film, you might know. But yeah, you could have been branded like a traitor, a heretic, a witch, or a problem in this past life. You could have been betrayed by someone you trusted because your voice threatened safety. You could have passed too soon because you refused to stay silent, or you could have lived, but your living was made into some kind of warning, a warning to others to stay in line, don't be like them. But the twist is, this past life version of you didn't regret it. They didn't regret it for a second, not even a little bit. Your past life self doesn't feel like a martyr. They feel like a spark. They feel like the ignition. They knew the danger, but they chose the truth anyway. And that's why you guys, you can't help but start. Like, you can't help but start that engine, even when you're told not to, even when you're trying not to cause controversy. You just can't help but gravitate towards that truth-telling. With that devil and the Ace of Swords, it's showing that you saw the cage, you named it, but you refused it, you rejected it, even if it cost you everything. Your soul never once believed that the cage was normal. And that gift, that refusal to comply with what is harmful, what is hypocritical or hollow, that has followed you in every lifetime since. You can't get away from it. Your soul comes into every incarnation with this underlying contract, and that is, I am not here to be liked, I am here to be heard. And the wild thing is, even when people did manage to silence you in that life, your message still took root, it still had influence. People saw you, people remembered you, people carried your ideas forward. You were the blueprint, even if history didn't put your name on it. So you have lived, I won't be surprised if it's multiple lives where you have sparked movements, you've inspired change, you have planted the seeds of revolution, and maybe in some instances somebody else got the credit later. With that Nine of Pentacles reversed and with the Ace of Wands, it's like your ideas were ahead of their time and somebody else watered them later. But it feels like your soul is not bitter about that, because your job here, it's never been about fame. It's never been about like, give me a pat on the back, tell me what a good person I am. Your job has always been about truth and impact. So in terms of how this gift shows up in this lifetime, it's always been you versus the system. You've probably noticed that at certain phases in your life. You didn't reincarnate to blend in and behave. You came back to do things the way you always do, by questioning everything, by refusing to pretend that tradition is truth, by seeing through manipulation instantly, by calling out hypocrisy before people even notice it's there, by refusing to stay quiet just to keep the peace. You are the uncomfortable voice in the room, not because you want to be dramatic, it's not about that, but because silence has always felt like a betrayal to you, to who you are. You're not here to make people feel safe, you're here to make people feel alive. So for some of you, you've probably heard certain things your whole life. People have said to you, why can't you just let it go? Do you have to make everything so deep? Stop being so intense. You're overreacting. Not everything is political. You don't always have to be the one who starts something. And you're like, first of all, yes, I do. Second of all, have you seen the world? Third of all, if I don't speak, who the fuck will? You weren't born to be nice. You were born to be necessary. And yes, school probably didn't vibe with you, not because you were bad, but because you don't function in environments built on hierarchy, obedience, unspoken power roles that don't make sense, people saying because I said so, that's not enough for you. You know, the sit still, don't question, don't think too much. Teachers who respected your mind, you would thrive, but teachers who needed control, you clashed. Anyone who gets a power trip off being in control, even in work scenarios, you probably clashed. You weren't anti-learning, you wanted the education, you've always been curious, you've always been agile-minded, you've always wanted to learn, but you were anti-bullshit. So you might have been that child, that teenager even, who asked like, why is this the rule? What happens if I say no? Why is this allowed? Why does that authority get to decide what's right? And adults didn't have answers they could defend, so instead they labelled you difficult, defiant, argumentative, dramatic, too much. Meanwhile, your brain was just doing what it naturally does, notice what nobody else seems to be questioning, and that's probably followed you, like I said, into your adult life too. You don't work well with jobs where you're expected to obey. You might burn out or you might quit. You do not get on well with people who want you to tone it down. You pull away. If you're too much for somebody, you say, well, maybe you're just not enough for me, babe. You don't vibe with bosses who are threatened by your intelligence. You don't like to be micromanaged. You're not meant to be managed, you are meant to be unleashed on the world. And socially, you were never meant to be the relatable guy or girl next door. You were meant to be the person people whisper about, until suddenly those same people are imitating you. Your style, your belief, your humour, your takes. They don't fit in at first, but they age well because you don't follow trends, you predict them. You don't care if people think it's too weird or too bold or too early because your soul literally remembers the future. That ship has sailed oracle card, that's you leaving the old world before the old world even knows that it's sinking. You're not just rebellious because you hate structure, you're rebellious because you can see when the structure is rotten. You feel that vibration of truth before the data catches up. You don't push back for ego, you push back because freedom is a core soul need for you. You don't want to just burn it all down for the sake of burning it all down. You want to rebuild something cleaner and fairer and freer. You are not a destroyer, you are a reformer, a liberator, a catalyst, a disruptor that heals by breaking the lie first. So in terms of what your past life self wants you to know now, your past life self isn't coming through like a wounded version of you. They are not bitter or resentful or traumatized. They are coming through like someone standing on a balcony above time and saying, you are the version of me who finally gets to do this without being silenced. You are the one who gets further than I could. Don't waste that freedom by shrinking. They don't want you to tone it down, they want you to turn it up. They're saying we didn't survive exile and ridicule and imprisonment and death even, just so you could worry about being too loud or too much. Be loud, be much. That was the whole point. You're not here to be digestible. You're not here to be agreeable. You are not here to wait your turn. You are the turn. You're the continuation of the work they started when it was dangerous. You're the voice they never got to finish speaking with. They're saying that you're not misunderstood. You're ahead. And one day people will quote you. One day they'll thank you. But right now you are meant to disrupt. So they want you to stop apologizing for having a strong opinion, seeing through manipulation, refusing to normalize things that are harmful, being the first one to say, like, this is wrong, being too political, too intense, too alive. They're saying when people say calm down, it's because they benefit from you being quiet. They also want you to know it's not that you don't fit in, it's that you remember a world that hasn't been built yet, that you are a crucial and integral part of building that world. And that's why you get bored, and that's why sometimes you feel restless and you feel like things aren't moving fast enough. You feel like when you're experiencing mediocrity, it's like a slow death to you because you are wired for progress, not for comfort. So your power in this lifetime, they're saying it grows when you speak, even when your voice shakes. As cliche as that sounds, that's what they're saying. They're saying to create instead of waiting for somebody to give permission. You are the only permission you need. They're asking you to surround yourself with people who want truth, not just comfort. They're asking you to question systems even when they look polished. They're telling you to let your uniqueness lead, not hide. They're saying use your words, use your voice, writing, speaking, content, teaching, activism. They're saying follow those nudges, those times where you're like, this doesn't sit right with me. Follow that instinct immediately. They're saying don't waste time though debating people who are committed to misunderstanding you, but keep disrupting even when it makes people uncomfortable. And they're saying trust your timing. Society will catch up with you. You're just ahead of the curve. So for some of you, your gifts will express themselves through activism or social justice, political or social commentary, reforming a system from the inside, creating something new that replaces something corrupt, trend setting in fashion, in media, or in culture, being the first voice in a topic that people usually avoid, a topic that's taboo, lifting up marginalized groups, using art or humor or creativity to subvert power, rebelling through lifestyle or identity or a refusal to perform norms, being the one who just says the thing that everyone is secretly thinking and everyone is too afraid to talk about. So yeah, the bigger purpose to this, your soul's mission, it's not to fit in or to be palatable or to play nice. Your mission here is to break illusions, it's to expose fake power, it's to liberate minds, it's to make people think, it's to build what doesn't exist yet, it's to refuse to call oppression order, it's to remind people they are not powerless, and it's to create the future before it's fashionable. You are a timeline shifter. You incarnate when humanity is stuck, stagnant, or hypnotized. You are not here to fix the old world. You are here to bring in a new one. And some people will try and resist it. Some people will try to misunderstand you. Some people will villainize you. And then one day they will repeat your words like they were theirs, like they believed it all along. But by then, you will already be like 3 revolutions ahead. You're always way ahead of the rest of us, Baltu. But one day people will catch up with you. You don't need to soften, you don't need to shrink, you don't need to apologize for thinking deeply or loudly or differently. Your soul has never forgotten how to break chains. In every lifetime, you've been the one holding the bolt cutters. You are not too much. You are the exact amount required to move history. You are not meant to fit into the world as it is. You are meant to shape the world as it should be. You don't follow the timeline, you accelerate it. And this life, this is maybe the first time you get to do it with a microphone instead of a noose. So use it. And that is where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. That is what I'm getting for your reading, Paltu. If you made it this far, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, thank you for receiving, and thank you for letting me tap into your energy today. I appreciate you more than you could ever know. We are right in the middle of Scorpio season at the time of me recording this. Don't know when it's going to go up, so happy rebirth season to all of my little phoenixes out there, and a very special happy birthday to my fellow Scorpios, me included. If it's your birthday too, happy solar return. If not, happy transformation season anyway, because this energy is powerful for all of us. If this reading resonated, please let me know. Please like, please comment, please share, hype, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I see every single bit of engagement, I notice it, I appreciate it, and honestly it's the best birthday gift you could give me. It also genuinely helps the channel grow, and it just lets me know that these messages are landing where they're meant to. With that said, I'm sending you so much love, so much protection, and so much clarity on your path. Thank you again for being here, take care, and I will see you in the next one, pal too. Hi collective! If you chose pile 3 and you were drawn to the Botan tarot and this cute little elephant sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. Today's reading is titled Past Life Magic Your Soul Still Holds, Ancient Gifts You've Carried Across Lifetimes. If you would like a full breakdown of everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I do go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But just to briefly recap the vibe today, think that scene in The Lion King where Mufasa shows up in the clouds and he tells Simba to remember who he is. In this scenario, I am Mufasa, you are Simba, listen to your daddy because we're about to reveal the power your soul has never forgotten and how you can step into it now. Alright, okay, so without any further hesitation, let's pop your little elephant sticker to one side and we'll have a look at what's coming through for you, pal 3. We're going to look at your oracle cards first. So over here from the Past Life Oracle, we have got Injustice, Victim, Perpetrator, Payback or Revenge, Injustice Overturned. Okay, interesting. Something about karma is coming through already really strongly. Why am I hearing, is it My Kink is Karma? Is that the song? Maybe some of you have listened to that recently. From the Wandering Soul Oracle, we've got Memories. Remember that time? Remember that time when XYZ, you could have had that kind of conversation recently with somebody. From the Green Witch Oracle, we have got number 31, Look Lime. Some of you could be 31 years old. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we've got Hidden in Plain Sight. That came through in another reading recently, so if you happen to pick that pile, that's a little extra confirmation. Let's have a look at your tarot cards. So over here we have the 3 of Cups, and clarifying the 3 of Cups is the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Definitely something about past life karma here, pile 3. We have got the 6 of Swords, and clarifying the 6 of Swords is Temperance reversed. Yeah, rebalancing the scales, that's coming through. We have got 8 of Wands reversed, and clarifying the 8 of Wands reversed is the 8 of Coins. Okay, interesting. And we have got the 2 of Cups, beautiful. Clarifying the 2 of Cups, we have got the 4 of Wands. Yeah, celebration. You're definitely owed a celebration, pile 3. So I'm going to start your reading by going through some confirmations. As always, these specific confirmations don't have to resonate for this to be your pile. I will spend the first few minutes of the reading looking at these though, because they are just extra little winks from spirit for the people who need them. So if something lands, amazing. If not, don't panic. The pile can still be yours, the messages can still be for you, just without these specific details. Okay, so let's start by looking at the numbers. We've got the number 31 showing up on that lime card. So that could be relevant in a few ways. Like I said, somebody here could be 31 years old. Somebody could be born on the 1st, 3rd or 31st of a month. January or March birthdays might be relevant. Life paths 1, 3 or 4, the 1st, 3rd or 4th house, the themes associated with those houses could be important. So 1st house, Aries, self-identity, physical body. 3rd house, Gemini, communication, siblings, early learning. 4th house, Cancer, home, roots, emotional foundation. Those things could be pertinent to the reading today. You may also be seeing the angel number 3131 a lot, and the short version of that, 3131 is a message about rebuilding. 3131 is often a message about rebuilding confidence after hardship, letting go of self-doubt and stepping back into your purpose. You know, it's like spirit saying, you've been through it, now it's time to rise again, okay? It's also tied to twin flame or soul bond energy sometimes, and like not hiding your gifts anymore, so there could be a strong emphasis on that. For this pile, in terms of other confirmations, I'm also seeing a very strong emphasis on the colour green. So that could show up through clothing, aura, maybe somebody's aura is green, certain decor, maybe it's your favourite colour, or literal nature imagery could be relevant. You know, green makes me think of overarching themes like growth, renewal, health, fresh starts, luck, prosperity, abundance. Or on the flip side, it can also represent some kind of jealousy or envy or sickness or sometimes immaturity. You know, green might refer to being unripe or like inexperienced, I guess. So one or more of those things may be relevant to you right now. Won't be all of them, obviously. Now, in terms of more random things that are coming through, I'm hearing sea life. So somebody could have recently gone to an aquarium or visited a sea life centre or been somewhere with tanks or marine creatures. Specifically though, I'm seeing something about a mossy pond. This could be somewhere you walk past on your daily walk. Maybe somebody has a pond in their garden, or like frog energy too. Frogs are relevant. Koi fish might be significant. Somebody could have a koi fish tattoo, or they could draw koi fish, something about artwork. Hand tattoos or finger tattoos are significant here. Somebody may have visited a graveyard recently. Somebody wears a meaningful necklace. I'm thinking about a cross necklace specifically. I'm hearing seagulls, so something about a beach visit or a coastal town, or just seeing a lot of birds might be relevant. There's something about Bambi coming through too, so deer. Maybe you relate to having like a soft or doe-eyed energy, or you've seen deer imagery recently. 12th house themes could be very active here, so dreams, hidden enemies, subconscious healing, karmic cycles. I'm hearing the names Lenore or Leandra, something like that is coming through. I think Lenore is like a detergent brand in the UK, so maybe it's that kind of Lenore, maybe somebody uses that. Somebody could smell like clean laundry. I'm also smelling, I don't know how to describe it, and it's not coming from anything in the physical because my window isn't open right now. I have to close it sometimes when I do these readings because there's just too much outside noise going on. I usually do like to have the window open, but yeah, I'm smelling like outside, you know, just the smell of outside, like fresh air. Or, you know, when someone comes in and they've been outside and they don't exactly smell like sweaty, but they smell like outside, like grass or air or soil or moss or something like that. So I'm getting like maybe somebody who hikes or walks dogs or just loves nature. There's something about old technology coming through. I'm seeing like floppy disks, USBs full of grainy photos. I'm seeing flip phones. I'm getting messages about old websites that have like been lost to the internet void forever, like Pixo or Bebo or MySpace. I'm seeing like MSN usernames with all kinds of song lyrics and weird symbols. Somebody here loves sour flavours, specifically sour apple, sour raspberry, that kind of thing, like blue raspberry. Somebody could have just dyed their hair a chestnut brown or a reddish colour. I'm hearing something about Gatorade, which I don't think we have over here, but it could be like sports drinks, Lucasade maybe. Maybe gators or alligators could be relevant. Maybe somebody lives in Florida or has been to Florida. I'm hearing like swamps, something about that. Also elephant symbolism, element ornaments, tattoos, decor, spirit guide energy, or just a favourite animal for somebody. You know, elephants often symbolise wisdom, memory and ancient knowledge, loyalty and family bonds, good luck, prosperity. I think we mentioned that already. So any of that could tie into your past life gift, and we will get to that in the main portion of the reading. Another little thing I wanted to mention, because this is coming through strongly and I do feel like it is a big part of your reading today, pile 3, but I'm also getting majorly strong Saturn energy. So Capricorn and Aquarius placements may be relevant, or just themes connected to karma, to discipline, to spiritual maturity, or just like lessons that take time to unfold. This might point to someone with a Capricorn stellium. If that's you, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Because I know that that is hard. You know, Saturn in the 1st or 10th or 12th house could be relevant, or somebody here who has just always felt like older than their age or wise beyond their years, even if you don't look it, even if you look really young for your age, because Saturn people Saturn dominant people tend to like age backwards, Benjamin Button. So yeah, that's a plus. That's a plus for all the trauma you have to go through, pal 3. There's also something about the north and south nodes being highlighted strongly here. You may be actually entering a really fated chapter right now where you are actively being pushed towards your purpose, or you've recently had, or you're approaching a nodal return. You know, this pal feels very much like your soul did not come here to play. You came here to level up a karmic cycle once and for all. So whether it's, you know, that Saturn, Capricorn, Aquarius, or North Node energy coming through, there's a big emphasis here on soul contracts, regardless of whether that applies or not. Karmic cleanup, destiny shifts, long-term spiritual growth, all of that is coming through. And yeah, the first thing I wanted to say actually is your pile is giving me chills in the best way, because some of you might or might not remember a reading I did recently, the Who's Scared of You one, I think it was, and I'm sure it was that one, correct me if I'm wrong, but this exact hidden in plain sight card came out in that pile too. That reading wasn't about past lives, but the energy was super similar to what I'm getting now. And it basically is like someone who has been overlooked and underestimated and side-eyed and maybe even envied, suddenly getting everything they deserve, glowing up, leveling up, and people around them being like, wait, you? This is for you? This is your party? And I'm getting that exact same plot twist energy here, except this time it's even deeper, because this isn't just about a current glow up. This feels karmic. This feels fated. This feels like you are finally receiving things you should have had in a past life, but didn't. And now the universe is like, okay, let's fix that. Like, let's pay what's owed. We have debt to pay. And I don't just mean blessings, I mean karma across the board. Your karma, other people's karma. You know, the elephant never forgets, that sort of energy. It's very loud here. You know, spirit hasn't forgotten what was done to you, whether it's in a past life or this life, what was done by you or what was withheld from you. And it feels like these scales are finally balancing. And the best part is that you don't have to do anything, pal 3. You don't have to hex anyone. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to expose people. You don't have to drag anyone on Instagram, nothing. Your existence is the karma, your glow up is the karma, your blessings are the clapback. I feel like one of the gifts you've carried over from past lifetimes is this like built-in karmic protection field. Not revenge power, but reversal power. Like whatever people give you, they get back tenfold, good or bad. If they loved you, if they supported you, if they poured into you, they get that same energy returned to them. On the other hand, if they disrespected you, if they used you, if they tried to block your blessings, they get to sit back and watch you win whilst their own energy boomerangs right back to them. There's also a strong, like, rewrite the victim narrative theme here, and I don't mean that in a dismissive way. I don't mean it in a, like, just be positive way, but in a way where you're saying, like, I refuse to stay small just because somebody tried to shrink me. You don't deny the pain, you alchemize it. You don't get revenge on people, you replace them in the storyline. And quite honestly, people, we said it in that last reading, but people never expected you to be the one in the position of power. They didn't expect the quiet one, the kind one, the underestimated one, the hidden in plain sight one to be the one the universe decided to hand this inheritance to, but surprise, it was you the whole time. You were just in like, going back to those themes, the confirmations we did at the beginning of the reading, you were in like appear offline mode, waiting for the exact moment to pop up. I'm talking full 2006 behaviour here. You know, like, as one example, when you would sit fully offline staring at your screen, waiting for your crush's name to pop up in the corner, and it's like the second they logged in, you would magically come online. Like, oh, wow, I just happened to come online at the same time as you. Fancy seeing you here. What a total coincidence. That is literally you in this lifetime. You have been leveling up, redoing your MSN screen name in silence, making it really pretty in the hopes your crush notices, but you've been doing it off the radar, you weren't announcing anything, you're just waiting for divine timing, and now, ding ding ding, your name pops up, you're online, everyone sees you. And the funniest part is the people who underestimated you are now getting like the spiritual equivalent of the old like MSN nudge button. Do you remember how fucking annoying that was? Like when someone would spam nudge you and your whole screen would shake. and someone was like, hello, pay attention to me. Yeah, that's karma right now, you know, nudge nudge, bitch. The universe is literally shaking their screen like, oh, wake up, it's Pal 3's time, put some respect on their name. They didn't expect it to be you. They thought you were just chilling in invisible mode. They didn't realize you were like leveling up in stealth behind the scenes. And now that notification bell is going off, like, guess who's next? And it's you. So who you were in a past life and what has carried over, your soul has always been someone who deserved to be recognized, someone with real genuine talent, real depth, real contribution. But in a past life, it feels like the world never quite caught up to your brilliance. You know, you had the ideas, you had the skill, you had the originality, and you had the dedication, but the validation and the credit and the applause never really arrived in the way you wanted it to, or at least not in the capacity you were deserving of. You know, maybe your ideas were stolen, maybe somebody else slapped their name on your work, maybe you were ahead of your time and people laughed instead of understanding. Maybe someone with more privilege copied you and they blew up for it. Maybe the world didn't have the language or the platform or the courage to see your genius yet. You know, it's kind of making me think of like Van Gogh energy. The Starry Night could be relevant. It's this kind of soul who created something extraordinary and world-changing, but only became iconic after death. Genius that wasn't embraced until it was too late. Like, nobody got it at the time, but in the next lifetime, it was groundbreaking and people wish they would have appreciated this person. And in this lifetime even, you may have already felt hints of that same pattern, you know, being underestimated, having your ideas dismissed, watching less talented people succeed with things that you did first, putting out high quality work that doesn't get the attention it deserves, feeling overlooked even though you know that you're good at what you do. But here's the key difference. You never let it make you bitter. You never let it switch you into that mode where you were like, I'm going to sell out just to get attention, or I'm going to do anything just to get the praise. You never betrayed your integrity to win. You didn't rely on cheap gimmicks, shortcuts, clout chasing, or just copying what was trending. You kept it real. You kept it sacred. You created because you had to create, not because you were promised applause. And that's exactly why you're being rewarded now. The universe is saying, kind of like, you stayed pure. You didn't let rejection make you ugly. You didn't compromise your calling. So now the calling is going to reward you. Because let's be clear here, Pal 3, you're a true artist. You're a visionary. You're a messenger, not driven by ego, but by purpose. That's why even when your work didn't get attention, you still showed up. Even when you doubted yourself, you still made the thing. Even when it looked like nobody cared, something inside you still said, I have to do this. Like, I don't care who sees it. This needs to exist. I need to put this out here. I need to get it out of my soul and onto paper. Not literally, this could be more metaphorical, but when I say you're an artist, it doesn't have to be in that like stereotypical way. It's in terms of whatever you put out there. And that was the real turning point, because that energy, that's spiritual alignment. That is karmic credit. That's the kind of devotion the universe has no choice but to pay back. So the message here is like, what you didn't get then in that past life or that past version of you, you are getting now. What was stolen is being restored. What was ignored is being celebrated. What was suppressed is becoming undeniable. You were never ever delusional. You were early. You didn't fail. The world was late, and now the world is finally catching up to you. The thing about you, Pal 3, as well, and this is 1000% a soul level gift carried over from a past life, is that you are not the type to like casually dabble in your passions. You don't casually enjoy things. Like, you are the hyperfixator. You eat, sleep, breathe, obsess, unravel, rebuild, and resurrect whatever you create. Your art, whatever art looks like for you, it owns you in the best way. You don't just make something, you become it. It takes you over like a hyperfixation, like a possession, like a cosmic download that you just have to bring into the world, or you'll combust. And you're not satisfied until it's right. It has to be right, until it's perfect, until it feels like the exact soul frequency that you intended. That's why I'm getting like kind of Virgo / Pisces axis energy. You know, perfectionism meets divine inspiration, mastery meets mysticism. It's like a spiritual calling disguised as a project, that kind of energy. And yeah, when I say art, when I refer to it as art, I don't just mean like painting and poetry. Of course, those things, it could be things you're very gifted at, but your art can really be anything. It could be fashion, it could be filmmaking, tattooing, coding, cooking, stand-up comedy, digital design, podcasting, spoken word, storytelling, photography, music production, interior design, game building, activism, script writing, content creation, all of it, none of it. Even the way you curate a room or dress yourself can be an art form when it comes from soul. And in every single lifetime, you've had something, a medium, a message, a melody, a blueprint that you were born to bring through. And in this lifetime, the difference is now it's actually going to reach the people it was always meant for. Because in that past life, you were ahead of your time. I think the world maybe wasn't ready, or the audience didn't exist yet, or the platform didn't exist yet. You were the brilliance, but the bridge wasn't quite there. And now, you know, boom, internet, global connection, niche communities, TikTok level virality, instant resonance, no gatekeeping. You know, as much as we can talk till the cows come home about like the downsides of the internet, and I know it's a nuanced discussion, the internet has negative things. There are negative things about the internet for sure. I don't think we can dismiss that, and it's worth being talked about. But like the way it can bring people together in ways that we weren't able to experience in other lifetimes, I think is really fucking cool. I think it is. Like, you wouldn't be here listening to this reading if it wasn't for the internet. Like, a lot of my audience are from the US. We would have never connected. We would have never met. I know we haven't met, but like, you know what I mean? I would have never even done this if it wasn't for other readers who I watch, like often from opposite sides of the world. A lot of the readers I watch are from the US too. So yeah, crazy. It's like in the past, in this past life version of you, the genius died unknown. In this life, the genius gets to go viral. I don't mean it like literally if you don't want to create content or be like famous or anything like that, but there is some element of like you being renowned. Maybe it's not fame, but it's being renowned for something. I'm getting 6 of Wands energy all over this reading, even though it's not here showing up in the reading, but definitely some amount of like recognition, applause, respect in your industry, people pointing at you and saying, that one, that's the one, that's the real thing right there. People who once treated you like you were like the coat girl or the background character are now like, wait, them? Like, they were the talent all along? Yes, it was you all along. You just hadn't dropped the masterpiece yet. You know, Van Gogh had to die for the world to understand him. You are not doing that storyline again. You know, this time the flowers arrive while you're alive to smell them. In the past, your work was misunderstood, maybe stolen, hidden, dismissed. In this life, it's going to be celebrated, credited, protected, and potentially paid as well. You know, you're not just doing the thing, you are leading the thing. You're not just creative, you are groundbreaking. You're not just talented, you're the blueprint. And people aren't just gonna like what you make, they're gonna feel seen by it, I think is the thing. It's the kind of art that makes someone go, did this person just reach into my chest and pull out my entire soul and put it on display for everyone? That's the level we're talking about here. And here's the other thing, Pal 3, especially if you are Saturn dominant, Capricorn influenced, or just someone who's had to kind of earn everything the long way around. This glow up didn't come easy. Maybe before your Saturn return, there was probably a whole era in your life where people, I want to say like intentionally underestimated you, not accidentally. Not like, oh sorry I didn't notice you. No, they deliberately downplayed you. It's that energy of like, oh, don't let them get too big for their boots. Keep them humble. Don't hype them up too much. Don't compliment them too much. Which really meant, you know, if Pal 3 ever realises who they are, we're finished. And the wildest part of that is that you weren't even asking for the praise. You were just existing. You were just being kind, just doing your job, minding your business. And still, like, people would get weirdly competitive or cold or jealous for no reason. So some of you, you grew up as the pretty girl who got bullied, the sweet kid who was iced out, the talented one who got ignored, the smart one who got talked over, the kind one who got scapegoated. And you were just sitting there like, why is everyone else making friends effortlessly while I'm getting attitude for just breathing? And the answer is because they were intimidated, you know. Even at times when you didn't know who you were, They did. And the hardest part is when you are genuinely kind and you don't go around hurting people or belittling people for fun, it is really confusing when other people treat you like you're disposable. And especially when you are young and you are still like forming your self-worth, it's very, very easy to internalize that and think like, maybe I am just forgettable. Maybe I don't deserve kindness. Maybe there's nothing special about me. Maybe I'm the problem. But no, you were never the problem. They were the proof. They didn't want you to see your power because the moment you did, the dynamic flipped. And that is what is happening now. That's what I see for your reading, Pal 3. This isn't just like, oh, that's just Pal 3. They're just the XYZ. That's Pal 3, the main character. The one with the mastery. The one with presence. The one with star power. The one people are suddenly realizing was never ordinary, just underestimated. This is your undeniable era. And yes, people from the past are panicking because they worked so hard to believe that you were beneath them. And now you're coming through glowing like you just stepped out of a Vogue shoot with your designer bag, your sunglasses, your paparazzi energy. And they're squinting like, wait, that's not how I remember Pal 3. And Spirit is like, yeah, because they didn't stay on the floor where you left them. And that's the karma. Your elevation is the revenge. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to expose them. Just existing in your success is enough. Some people are going to get the spiritual equivalent of a public embarrassment tour, especially the ones who treated you like you were unimportant, because the universe takes notes. And this is especially for you guys where you feel like some of your life has been like some kind of weird test or like humiliation ritual. It's about to be flipped. And you are kind of the character test here. I don't mean that to sound like you are here as some like social experiment, but it's because how people treat you exposes who they actually are. People who act sweetie, sweetie, nicey, nicey to someone with power, but are rude to someone they think is beneath them, exposed. People who will throw money at celebrities who don't even know they exist, but won't even repost their friend's small business for free, exposed. People who suddenly want to be besties now that you're glowing, but were silent when you needed support, exposed. That is the karmic boomerang, and you don't even have to touch it, it's automatic. If you guys listen to one of my absolute favourite tarot readers on here, Natija, she was talking about this in one of her readings that I was listening to recently. I love her. I watch her readings every single day. I'm obsessed with her readings. They just hype me up so much. I'm not quoting her exactly on this, but she was kind of saying how some people will spend hundreds of pounds on a concert to see a celebrity, but they won't even spend £10 supporting their friend's small business because it's like they don't really see them as important enough. And how shady is that if you think about it? They'll like support somebody who doesn't even need it, but won't support somebody who maybe does need it, but then they want to be there for the good times. It's that kind of thing. And another message that's coming through, something that another one of my favourite readers, Taylor from Lotus Tarot, who is also absolutely amazing and does some really deep dive sort of reads, she was saying something too. Again, I'm not quoting this directly, it was just in relation to a personal story she was telling, but it's like sometimes people freeze you, this memory of you in an old version of yourself, because the new you threatens the story they built about you. She was saying how somebody in her life, like she was telling a story about a time she stuck up for herself, and the person responded by saying like, oh, don't lie, like you wouldn't say that, you've always been a doormat, or something along those lines. Again, not quoted directly. But it's like some people want you to stay the doormat, the quiet one, the one who never stands up for themselves. They don't want to deal with this version of you who knows their worth, because that means that they were wrong about you all along. And, that's the shift here. You're not the villain of this story, but you are the plot twist. You're the one who didn't stay stuck. You're the one who grew it into something they can't control. They can't ignore it. They can't deny it. You're not the danger because you hurt people. You're the danger because you rose anyway. And nothing threatens insecure people more than someone they once dismissed becoming undeniable. And I'm getting this really, really intense past life echo here. Like the kind of energy where you lived for your work, you breathed your art, you poured everything into it. and it still didn't quite land the way it should have done. Not because you weren't good enough, you were the best in the room, like, don't get that twisted, but because there were forces outside of you blocking, delaying, sabotaging, gatekeeping, or straight up stealing what was rightfully yours. You know, that wheel of fortune reversed, it's given like wrong place, wrong time, wrong people in power. And that is exactly what the universe is correcting in this lifetime. You are not just getting blessings for the work you've done now. It's like you're getting karmic payback for everything you should have received then but didn't. And I know it's probably hard to picture the exact situation in a past life because, of course, it depends on the specific era and it might be different for different people, but the pattern is familiar. Other people being given the opportunities that you earn, you know? In this life, it could be like the Nepo baby getting the job that you were qualified for, your crush ignoring you because someone with status spread lies first, your content getting removed because a bigger creator used their influence to flag you out of jealousy, a publisher rejecting your book with a condescending rejection like, oh, you know, we only work with established authors, that kind of tone. Meanwhile, you're the talent, you're the originality, you're the one with the actual gift. And that's the thing, it wasn't rejection. I know you're going to hate this because I know this is so cliche. It wasn't rejection, it was divine protection. But really though, like, it was. Sorry, I hate to be that reader. But they didn't turn you down because you weren't good enough. You were way too good for what they were offering. I don't know why, but I'm seeing the scene from Better Call Saul. I've had this come through in a reading before where he's like saying to Howard, it's too small. This was too small for you, this opportunity. You know, Spirit didn't let you attach yourself to people or places beneath your frequency. That's why it didn't work. That's why this collaboration didn't happen. That's why they didn't text back. That's why the job never emailed you back. Because you were never meant to fit into that. You were meant to outgrow it and outshine it. And now the divine reversal is happening. You know, somebody's getting exposed. Somebody's mask is slipping. Something is being revealed. And I'm hearing something about fairy justice. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, I'm sorry. Fairy justice? Cosmic court? Like court, but with more glitter? With wings? I don't know. But somebody here is about to play the victim, and the truth is going to come out. And the truth is this. You were never the one who wasn't enough. They were the ones who weren't worthy. You were never ever beneath them. They were out of their depth trying to stand next to you. I'm hearing we don't talk about Bruno. This pile is very much giving like we don't talk about Bruno vibes, except it's we don't talk about pile 3. Not because you did something wrong though, but because your glow up is embarrassing to the people who fumbled you. Like, that is their humiliation ritual. They had access to you before the leveling up, before the spotlight, before the recognition, and they flipping well blew it, didn't they? They stood on the wrong side of history. They treated the future icon like a background extra, and now they're choking on their regret. This could have shown up in your love life too. And I'm not saying like if somebody rejects you or they reject anyone, if you reject anyone, nobody's entitled to a chance. I don't mean it like that. Like if you're not attracted to somebody, I don't like to spread the message, especially like when it comes to women who are often encouraged to settle for less than what we deserve and to not honour our own standards. You know, I don't believe in that, like, oh, just give someone a chance because they're nice. Like, if you want to reject someone or someone wants to reject you, that's absolutely fine. They're entitled to do that. And I'm not saying they or you deserve bad karma for doing that. That's not it at all. But there's a difference in the way it's done. Like, I can just picture a scene. This is just one example. It doesn't have to apply to you, but maybe you finally get the courage to tell your crush how you feel. And instead of them saying like, oh, you know, I'm flattered, but I don't feel the same, they might have acted like you were delusional for even thinking that you were on their level. Like I say, this doesn't have to apply in like just a romantic context. I'm just trying to explain this in a tangible way. But this person, like, they wanted to be worshipped, not loved. And now that you are glowing, now that you are thriving, being seen, being celebrated, suddenly they remember you and suddenly they're like, oh, I always had a crush on you. Suddenly they're in your DMs like, oh, hey, stranger. Even though at the time they were like, how dare you approach me thinking I would be interested in you? look at you and look at me. They acted as if you were beneath them, and now they're pretending that that didn't happen. And it just exposes them. It's just going to be humiliating for them. As if we all forgot the way that they spat in your direction when you were still climbing. And Spirit is just saying, like, absolutely fucking not. That door is welded shut, because now you are attracting your real people, your real tribe, the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups types. The ones who were there to support you when there was no audience. The ones who reposted your work when it had 5 likes. The ones who hyped you when no one else did. Those are the ones you'll gladly bring with you. Those are the ones who will feast at your table. Those are the people who deserve to be blessed through your blessings, and they will get their good karma. But other people, you know, they get the buffet they ordered. Because the universe saw everything they did, every snub, every smear, every manipulative, snarky little comment or smile, and now their energy is circling back like a boomerang, dipped in fairy glitter and dipped in consequences. And the best part, you don't have to curse them, you don't have to clap back, you don't have to defend yourself. Just keep winning, because that is the spell here. And, you know, any evil eye they try to send now, it bounces off you and it hits them 10 times harder. Spirit has you mirrored and shielded. So if someone's planning to hate watch your success, they might want to start praying because it's not you who is about to suffer for that energy, it's them. And here's the thing, pile 3, some of the karma these people are getting, you will hear about. Some of it you absolutely won't, because people with big egos will do anything to avoid admitting they were wrong about you. They might not slide into your inbox with a handwritten apology, like, hey, now that my life is falling apart and I'm finally being treated the way I treated you, I just wanted to say, my bad. No, you won't get that honesty from them, but the universe will still give you signs, and sometimes just the quiet knowing is enough. You might hear a rumour, you might hear a slip of gossip, you might hear from someone that, like, oh yeah, that person actually isn't doing so great, or you might just see it in their face, in their energy, in the way they suddenly soften around you. Meanwhile, you're over here glowing, aligned, protected, divinely redirected, walking into blessings like you ordered them on next day delivery. Because whilst their ugliness is finally leaking through the cracks, the ugliness from their soul, your blessings are starting to pour in, and everything that once rejected you is looking like the downgrade. And that's karma, you know, not the dramatic kind, but the quiet, elegant, poetic justice kind. The kind where you don't have to seek revenge ever, because the wheel finally turns on its own. And with the Three of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune reversed, you are literally being moved out of circles that never chose you and into rooms full of soul family who actually celebrate you. You know, not like fake smiles and backhanded compliments. Not this thing of like, well, I support you in theory, but I'll never repost your work. These are the people who clap for you without being asked, who don't shrink you to feel bigger about themselves, the people who just get you. This is the lifetime where you're no longer the outsider looking in, you're the one being welcomed in. That's the karmic flip. And then we've got that Six of Swords clarified by Temperance reversed. This is past life grief being carried across timelines, finally leaving your body. It's that moment of like, I'm done trying to balance myself around people who keep knocking me off center. It's moving on from the chaos, from the misaligned environments, from being in places you had to endure instead of belong to. In your past life, the misalignment won. In this one, you do. The healing sticks this time. Then we see the Eight of Wands reversed with the Eight of Pentacles upright. And this is that beautiful full circle moment. You know, everything that was delayed, everything that was blocked, sabotaged, stolen, or overshadowed before, all those years you kept trying and kept working and kept mastering your craft even when nobody cared. That was not wasted time. You did not miss your shot. The universe was saving it for when you'd actually be seen by the right people in the right era, with the right platforms and the right skill set to handle what's coming. That's why it didn't take off too early. You weren't just talented, you were chosen, and chosen people are preserved, they're not rushed. And then the Two of Cups and the Four of Wands is just the chef's kiss to top it all off. This is soulmate level support. That is homecoming energy. That's that feeling of like, I finally found my people. You know, relationships, whether it's romantic, platonic, creative, spiritual, that feel like destiny instead of damage control. You know, in your past life, you may have passed on feeling misunderstood, unseen, unsupported, or even betrayed by the very people you trusted. But in this life, Spirit said, not again. And now you get the people who match you. Now you get chosen back. Now you build community, not survive without it. This lifetime is not a repeat of the last one. It is like the corrected version. So if your past life self were to give you a message right now, it would be to tell you that they walked so that you could run. That is what they're saying. They walked so that you could run. They're saying you don't have to fight so hard to be believed anymore. You don't have to prove your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You are already everything you kept trying to become. Your past life self also wants you to know you did not fail and you are not failing. They're saying you're not too late and you were not enough. You were early, you were ahead of your time. You were building work that the world wasn't ready to receive yet, but you carried the torch anyway. And that torch is what lit the path to this life. They are asking you to stop explaining yourself to people who already made up their minds. They're saying keep creating even when no one is clapping yet. The applause this time will come, but the art must come first. They're saying that trust that slow is not stuck. Mastery was always a part of your contract. They're saying let people misunderstand your silence. Your work will speak loud enough when it's time. And they're telling you to just receive. Like, stop trying to earn your blessings because you already paid for it in another life. And the most important message of all, you don't have to get revenge on anyone. Just live, because that is the karma here. Your joy is the justice, your success is the spell, your peace is the closure. You were punished in a past life for being rare, and in this life, you are going to be so rewarded for it. So Pile 3, you are not becoming powerful, you are remembering that you already were. This lifetime is the one where the scales balance, where the artist gets credit, where the loyal one gets loyalty back, where the underdog stops being underestimated, where the kid who was mocked becomes the adult everyone quotes. You are stepping into karmic payout energy, cosmic justice energy, being seen by the right people, soul level support, a glow up rooted in destiny and not ego. Your past life was the setup, but this one is the payoff. You are not the warning anymore, you're the example. You're not the forgotten one, you're the unforgettable one. You are not the almost made it, you are making it, you are the arrival. And whether other people admit it or not, they see it and they feel it, and they're already kind of being nudged by the universe. Some of them are scared. Maybe they should be. They're like, hey, remember Pal 3? Yeah, maybe I should have treated them better. But you don't need their apologies. You're too busy walking into the life that was always meant to be yours. So glow up graciously, receive loudly, celebrate totally shamelessly, and don't dim the light just because somebody else was too blind to see it. You earned this in this lifetime and the last. So that is what I'm getting for your reading, Pile 3. That is where I am going to leave you today, my loves. If you made it this far, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, for receiving, and for letting me tap into your beautiful energy. I appreciate it more than you know. We are right in the middle of Scorpio season, so happy rebirth season to all of my little phoenixes out there, and a very special happy birthday to my fellow Scorpios, including myself. If it's your birthday too, happy solar return. If not, happy transformation season anyway, because this energy is powerful for all of us. With that said, if this reading resonated, please let me know. Please like, comment, share, hype, sub, all of that good stuff. I see every single bit of engagement. I notice it. I appreciate it. And honestly, it is the best birthday gift you could give me. It also genuinely helps the channel grow, and it lets me know that these messages are landing where they're meant to. I'm sending you so much love, so much protection and clarity on your path. Thank you again for being here, Pal 3. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Hi Collective! If you chose Pal 4 and you were drawn to the Everyday Witch Tarot and the Lightbulb sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. Today's reading is titled Past Life Magic Your Soul Still Holds. Ancient gifts you've carried across lifetimes. If you would like a full breakdown regarding what this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I do go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But to recap the overall vibe, just very briefly, if you've ever seen The Lion King, just think of that scene where Mufasa is in the clouds telling Simba to remember who he is. Basically, I'm Mufasa, you're Simba, listen to your daddy because I'm about to remind you of the power your soul has always had and how to step into it with confidence in this lifetime. Alright, so without further hesitation, let's have a look at what came through for you today. I'm just going to pop your little light bulb sticker to one side for now. So over here we have got government, governor, court. It says deposer. I don't know whether it's supposed to say deposed. I don't quite know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong. Advisor. We get the idea. My pronunciation is not always the best. But yeah, from the Wandering Soul Oracle, we have got messenger. Ancient Egypt might be significant as well with the imagery we have on this government card. You're a very important soul, Pal 4. I know that. I can feel that already. And from the Green Witch Oracle, we have got number 27, Duality, Banana. How often do we talk about duality on this channel? That is a running theme. So if you picked a pile where I have mentioned that previously, that's just a little bit of extra confirmation for you. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Know Your Worth. This came through in one of my other readings recently. Very cute. And let's have a look at your Everyday Witch Tarot over here. We've got the Queen of Pentacles. You know I love the Queen of Pentacles when she comes through. She is that girl. And the clarifier for the Queen of Pentacles is the Eight of Pentacles, because why wouldn't it be? We have got the Four of Wands. Gorgeous. And the clarifier for the Four of Wands is the Wheel of Fortune. We have got the Page of Cups. And the clarifier for the Page of Cups is the Seven of Wands. And we have got the Three of Wands clarified by the Two of Pentacles. Beautiful. So we've not pulled through any reversals for you, Pal 4, which is interesting. I think we've had reversals on pretty much every pal so far, but you don't have any, so congratulations. Not that reversals are bad, just different energy sometimes. But yeah, well done you. So I like to start these readings by giving some confirmations. As I always say, these do not have to resonate for this to be your pile. These are just extra little winks from Spirit for the people who need them. So these could be dates, signs, random details, repeating numbers, aesthetics, things currently happening in your real life, etc. But again, they do not have to resonate for this to be your pile. But let's start with the numbers as always. So we have the number 27 on this banana card. So someone could be born on the 2nd, 7th or 27th of a month. Somebody here could be 27 years old. And I'm actually now also thinking of the 27 Club. I believe that is like in relation to celebrities who passed at the age of 27. That could be something you've had a conversation about before. You could relate to a certain celebrity in that club. You know, some examples are Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison. So musicians or artists, you know, performers might be relevant. Somebody could be a life path 2 or 7. Somebody could have a February or July birthday. Somebody could have strong 2nd house placements, so Taurus, or 7th house placements, Libra. Somebody could be very Venusian. Somebody could beautify absolutely everything they touch, even if it's just the way they style their hair or arrange their desk. I'm also getting this very specific message. You guys might look like somebody who looks totally different in different contexts. Like by day, you are in your plain clothes and you look all soft and cozy and cute. And by night, you're suddenly like a full glam outlaw femme fatale runway model. It's that sort of like, who is that transformation? So duality, you know, having two looks, two different energies, same person, but you know, that message of they can do both, like that's the duality here. The angel number 27 could be relevant. You might be seeing 27 everywhere, on clocks, on receipts, on timestamps. You know, the number 27 is associated with humanitarianism, spiritual wisdom, positive life changes, being on the right path, serving the collective as well while staying in alignment with your personal truth. So already this gives me like maybe a reading that has something to do with your worth, your work, and the impact you make on others, which makes sense, right? Because some of it's about like your purpose. Yeah, there's definitely confirmations coming through about ancient civilization, specifically Egyptian energy, ancient Egypt vibes, pharaohs, cats, Isis, Bastet, scarab beetles, gold, sun discs, maybe even mummification rituals or temple service. Somebody may have a very strong connection to Egyptian deities, or you might have just always felt strangely at home learning about Egypt in school. I'm also hearing the word effigy. I'm not sure what that is. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to look it up. Okay, so effigy is a statue, a sculpture, or likeness of something. So there could be something about an effigy or statue of you in a past life. You may have literally been someone that people honoured publicly. I'm also hearing the phrase lunar footprint, and I have no idea what that means. I'm sorry, but if it means anything to you, then please let me know. Could be something to do with your moon sign. Maybe you had the same moon sign as this past version of you. I'm also getting ancient Greece, so marble statues, philosophers, courts, oracles, politics, public platforms, 10th house energy too. Someone here could have a past life tied to governance, public speech, leadership, messages or messengers, sacred knowledge, money and value systems, being listened to by people in authority. That is coming through really strongly. I think we're going to talk about that in the reading. And just random confirmations that are coming through. Something about bees. I'm also hearing somebody say, I'm buzzing. Like somebody who says, oh, I'm absolutely buzzing. Like I'm excited. That's a common phrase here in the UK. So that could be you, or you could know someone who says that a lot. Cats, something about the Sphinx as well, if we're talking about Egypt. Feathers, birds, flight, air travel, traveling generally. Something about the moon landing, space. I'm hearing Apollo, Buzz. Somebody could have a pet called Apollo or Buzz. I'm hearing celestial names. Somebody could like celestial names like Luna. I'm also hearing names with the Anna sound. So Anna, Hannah, Brianna, Liliana, things like that. Hearing a low frequency hum or buzz that is coming through. Somebody could have just bought an item that vibrates, that buzzes. Take that how it applies. Someone into Marvel movies, Spider-Man, superheroes, masks, alter egos. Again, something about somebody working two roles, like professional by day, creative rebel by night, that sort of vibe. Keys and locks could be symbolic messages for you, divine messages, and something about masking as well, theatre, neurodivergence, gaming. With duality always makes me think of the Slipknot song, so Slipknot could be relevant. I always mention that when this card comes up. Funnily enough, I nearly read deposer as deposit. I nearly said deposit. So something about bank deposits or withdrawals might be relevant. Maybe a payment showing up in your account the same day you listen to this reading. The legal system, legalities, a recent court case, that could be for somebody. Somebody here could be a teacher. I'm seeing a creative display with lots of pictures. Maybe somebody has just put a new display up in their classroom. I'm seeing like the kids help to make it, something like that. Somebody here is about to travel, especially somewhere with historical or ancient significance, so like Greece, Egypt, Italy, Turkey, something like that. Okay, so those are just the first confirmations that I'm getting before we get into your reading. But now let's go ahead with the main portion of the reading. So Pile 4, I actually really want to start by acknowledging your past life, because for you guys, who you were is exactly what your soul wants you to remember now. And I'm actually hearing some of the same messages that we got in Pile 3, particularly in regards to that mastery thread that we touched on, but there's a key difference here. You guys in Pile 4, in your past life, you were recognised for this mastery. So you weren't the overlooked genius, you were the go-to. You were the one that people in power called when they couldn't afford a mistake. You were the best of the best, at the top of your game. And you earned it the long way by studying, by refining, by proving yourself over and over. Very Queen of Pentacles coded, very Eight of Pentacles coded. As a result, you ended up working with somebody worshipped in their own right, is what I'm getting. So you could have been involved with some form of royalty, a governor, a high priest or priestess, the kind of person who does not hand out trust easily is what I'm getting. And it's like once they vouched for you, everyone wanted you. You were royal too. And, for some of you, I can see, maybe a handful of you with literal royal lineage, especially if, that ancient Egypt thing hit. But for most of you, this feels less, born crowned and more hired as the right hand. You could have advised on the big things, legal, financial, spiritual things, and maybe the small daily things too. You were always by this person's side. You were so indispensable that their reverence rubbed off on you. You were worshipped by proxy because the person on the throne told the room, listen to Pile 4, like they're important, they're a big deal. There's a big Two of Pentacles through line here. Like you lived in two worlds, and that's one of the reasons I say like only for a couple of you could have been born into this, because for a lot of you, I don't think you were like born with a silver spoon in your mouth. I'm definitely getting this sense of duality of two worlds, and it's like by day there was opulence, you know, marble halls, tapestries, rooms where one sentence could change laws. But by night, you could have gone back to a very humble home in a poorer quarter. It's like you saw these extremes, you saw extreme wealth up close, and then in the same day you would walk past hungry doorways and you would see people begging on the street on your way home. And there was no bragging, there was no element of you like leaking palace secrets when, you know, maybe neighbours tried to get the tea. They tried to ask you like, oh, so what's it really like in there? What's it like working with this person? You always stayed composed, you stayed private, you stayed loyal. And that is precisely why they pulled you closer. But it wasn't an overnight thing. This could have happened over years. Like, first they gave you a chance and then you proved yourself. And then they gave you a permanent room. And then they gave you a house and then provision for your family. And eventually, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a title, if you were given land or you were given a formal post, because they knew that you would use your power fairly because you'd proved yourself. And this ruler, I'm getting something specifically about them, that they could be kind of paranoid, they could be very defensive, they were always performing strength is something I'm getting. And I don't know why, but I can hear the Alea song where she's like, I've got to watch my back because I'm not just anybody. That was this person, like they had a lot to lose if anyone caught a sniff of vulnerability. But with you, this person could exhale. You were the messenger at their shoulder. You were the quiet nudge towards balance. You know, you asked this person like, do we really need to do that? With your Libra 7th house tact, and also with your like potentially Virgo or Capricorn practicality, they would reach for the sword and you would steady their hand. You could organize their life, you could soothe their chaos, you balanced their books, you drafted their edits, and you turned their rash ideas into fair outcomes. And I just want to be clear, like I don't think this individual, I don't think they were cruel for cruelty's sake, but their world demanded ruthlessness. They were born into it. You came into it, but you never forgot where you came from. And that duality, it gave you an empathy that this individual maybe didn't have, just because they didn't have that same experience of being in both worlds. So when a policy that they tried to make would like crush the working class, you talked them down. Or when fear made them impulsive, when they were ready to be like, you know, off with their head, that sort of energy, you showed them the cost, human and political, and they listened because you'd already proven that you really weren't after the money or the power or their crown. In public, like they had to be the face and they had to take the credit, and you didn't mind that. You weren't chasing the spotlight. You were chasing doing what was right. And back home, some people might have muttered behind your back. They might have said like, oh, they've changed. Like they sit at the palace and they think they're all that because you sit beside power, but you hadn't. You simply learned how to pull the right strings so the people at the bottom, your people, actually benefited. And because you never gossiped, you never boasted, you never asked for more than you'd earned, they trusted you with everything. It's like you could have started off as closer to a servant, and then you ended as the financial advisor, the chief aide, the true right hand to the throne. This person who you were working with, I think their version of love and loyalty was very warped by politics. Their friendships were kind of transactional, maybe even like their marriage was arranged. So they didn't really understand tenderness in the way you did. Like with your home life, you could have had like a spouse and children who you genuinely chose, like you loved in the truest, purest sense of the word. And this person, again, I don't think it was their fault. I think they were just born into this certain lifestyle, and it's the only currency they could understand, you know, provision, protection, proximity. They loved you as much as they could, given their ability to love, if that makes sense. These are the things that showed that they care, even if to you it felt like a little bit transactional. They always thought that you were smarter than them. You probably were. And it's like they made other people listen when you spoke because your counsel got results. You know, over time, you became this steady mind inside the storm. You were the voice that everyone craned to hear when the stakes were high. And that is the essence you've carried across lifetimes. It's revered competence without ego, it's duality without duplicity, and it's this calm, exacting presence that quietly reroutes a kingdom behind the scenes. And a lot of these skills from that past life, you actually did bring them into this one. And the first one I want to talk about, because I want to get it out of the way, because some of you are going to be rolling your eyes like, no, this obviously isn't for me, because it's being organized and having your shit together. Okay, bear with me. I know. Some of you are like, absolutely not. I have ADHD. I'm a walking tornado. Like, please be for real, nosy witch. And that's valid. That's very valid. Me too. I think both things are possible though. Like, I'm personally someone who I think I thrive in organized chaos. Like, I love getting the new planners and organizing all the stickers and my pens and all this, but I also don't have a clue where my bank card and my keys are at any given time. So I get it, like very much a mix of being type A and being type B. But you definitely have carried some of these gifts. Like, your past life self is basically side-eyeing you and they're saying like, babe, you absolutely can do this. Like, you've done it before. The ability is there. But they're saying it has to be activated in the right environment. That is key here, okay? This isn't your only gift. We're going to talk about the other ones because you were a very important person in your past life, Part 4. But yeah, like, I want to mention this one because you guys need to hear it, because that is the catch with you. Like, you don't thrive in chaos that you didn't choose. You thrive in structure that you design. So you need to be somewhere where you are being appreciated, nurtured, and trusted enough to do things your way, you know? That's when your sort of master planner, spreadsheet lover, everything labelled self wakes up in full power mode. Some of you are totally type A when you're left alone. Like, you get high off filing your paperwork and colour coding your notes and setting financial goals, you know, clearing your wardrobe, doing your tax return early because it gives you that serotonin rush. You love that shit. You love that moment of like, look at everything in its place. I am a god. I'm thinking of that scene from Jennifer's Body with Megan Fox where she's like, I am a god. And others of you are more like, I cannot relate. Like, I am built of vibes and chaos. I will simply cease to exist before I put anything in alphabetical order. But even for those of you who feel very disorganized like that, it's not that you're incapable. It's more likely that you're being pulled in too many directions, carrying other people's emotions or literal workload, fixing everyone else's messes, and by the end of the day, you are like, hello, I am burnt out. I am not organising my receipts. I'm going to bed, goodbye forever. And that doesn't mean you're disorganised. It means you're burnt out and exhausted. Honestly, some of you have what I call organised chaos, and I say that with a lot of love because I am the same, you know, neurodivergent with a specific system. Do not touch my piles of mess energy. And other people might look at your room and be like, oh my god, what is this? But you know exactly where every item is. You may even prefer to let everything build up into disaster and then pick one sacred day to blitz the entire thing and do it your way. That is a system. It just doesn't look like the Pinterest version of organisation, and that's okay. Your past life self is saying, you know, it's not that you can't organise, it's that you must be allowed to organise in your own rhythm and not on somebody else's clock. So that is the first skill you've carried over that you still have, even if you don't think you do, even if that's something you kind of struggle with. The second skill is a huge one, and it's that people trust you instinctively. You give off this vibe where you just say to people, your secrets are safe with me. Total old soul energy, you know, people probably trauma dump on you everywhere, whether you're like in the supermarket doing your shop or you're on the bus or in the queue at Starbucks. It doesn't matter if they met you 6 minutes ago. You have this vibe of like, I get it. Even when you haven't lived what they've lived, you are the friend that people come to for advice because you sound like someone who has lived 10 different lives already and has the cheat codes. You don't just comfort either, you give actual useful wisdom, and people value what you say. And that's literally a continuation of the past life dynamic. You know, you were that advisor that everyone relied on, the one that even royalty listened to. And in this life, people don't always know why they trust you, they just do. Your energy communicates safety and competence long before your words do. You don't have to perform it, you are it. Another thing you've carried over into this life is that people kind of automatically see you as the solid one, the dependable one, the they've got it handled person. And I already know that some of you are listening to this like, oh my god, I am held together with impulse purchases and unwashed hair. I am not dependable. And yet, no matter how chaotic you feel on the inside, people still treat you like you're the responsible one in the room. It's that weird duality where internally you're like, you know, like, I do dumb shit too. I'm not the designated adult here. But externally, people are like, Pal 4 knows what to do. Pal 4 has the answers. You could have been that kid in school where when the teacher leaves the classroom, they go, okay, Pal 4 is in charge of everyone. And you're sitting there like, why me? Like, I didn't ask for this. I don't want to be the leader. Reluctant leader energy, that's what this is. But people just sense something about you. Competence, composure, quiet power, quiet authority, and they trust that. Even now, Pal 4, you probably get random people asking you for advice or coming up to you and asking you for directions or literally just saying to you like, what should I do? Like, you're the default manager of the human race. You might be the person in your friend group who ends up booking the taxi or solving the crisis or writing the email, you know, giving the speech, reading the contract, handling the meltdown, because everyone else just assumes that you will know what to do. And usually you do, even if you're screaming internally, you're panicking on the inside. And yeah, sometimes, you know, that might work against you because you are so composed. People hand you like 10 times the responsibility. They kind of dump their mess on your lap and they'll be like, oh, you got this right. And you do, but that doesn't mean that you should have to handle it or that you wanted to. You might be the one trusted with the real information, the sensitive conversations, the, oh, don't tell anyone, but blah, blah, blah secrets, because people know that you won't blurt it out or go feral with that information. They know that you'll keep a level head and you will think things through. And that's another gift you have brought with you. You are excellent in crisis. You don't spiral. You can think before you speak. You pick your words like someone who knows that words actually matter. You move with precision and fairness and integrity. You don't snap and regret it later. You're the one saying like, okay, let's slow down and let's look at this properly. Whilst everyone else is running around like headless chickens, you have that calm, collected presence that makes people stop and listen. And you can sound articulate as well, even when you're winging it. You explain things in a way that makes people go like, wait, you know, why did no one ever say it like that before? You are not loud about your authority, but when you talk, people shut up and pay attention. You may not feel like the leader, but you're the one that actually everyone follows. There's a real, I keep saying it, I'm sorry, but there's a real duality in your energy, and it shows up in the way people react to you, I think. Like, on the one hand, a lot of people kind of instinctually treat you like you are important, like you're someone who belongs in high places. You give off that quiet authority that just says like, I've got this handled, like daddy energy. The song Father Figure by Taylor Swift is coming through. I don't know if that's relevant to anyone. You have like an I protect the family vibe. But yeah, it makes people assume you're the type of person who gets invited to the VIP section, not the queue outside. It's very Queen of Pentacles coded. Composed, dignified, graceful, elegant, practical, earthy luxury without even trying. Cool without trying vibe. Some of you literally have that like rich auntie aura before the money even arrives. So it's like you might find people will hold doors for you. They will speak more politely. They will sit up a little bit straighter in their chair. Like they suddenly remember their posture. You know, people might assume that you're more privileged or more educated or more together than you actually are because of the way you carry yourself. You could walk into any interview and have them eating out of the palm of your hand before you've even opened your mouth. You could also attract like wealthy suitors or influential friends or opportunities out of nowhere just because your energy reads like, yes, I am someone you will treat well. It's almost, I'm getting the example of like old money without actually having old money, that kind of vibe, that sort of aura that makes people think you must have grown up in a house with a piano and a hallway full of oil paintings, even if you were literally eating toast over the sink 5 hours ago. It's a very classy vibe. Some of you even get freebies or discounts or upgrades or gifts for no reason, not because you asked, not because you were like, do you know who I am? I have 100,000 subscribers on TikTok or something like that, but because people just feel like you are supposed to receive good things. You radiate worthiness, that give me this because I am worth it energy, and you're not coming from lack. Even when you don't have something yet in the physical, you still make moves like someone who knows that they will. It's that quiet confidence. But here's the duality, here's the flip side to that. You know, if you're not in the right environment, you can experience the opposite. You can go from being treated like royalty to being underestimated, undervalued, or dismissed. And it hits you deeply because it goes against something ancient and true in your soul. And that true and ancient thing is that you know you are meant for more. And I don't mean that in like an ego-driven or arrogant way. I don't mean it like, oh, I'm too good to do this job and to make tea in the office kitchen for people. But in this soul level way of like, if my talents are not being used the way they were designed to be used, I need more, in that kind of way. Like, so you could have been in jobs where like you were clearly the most capable one, but maybe they didn't promote you. You could have been in relationships where the other person treated you like an option rather than the prize. You could have had friends who relied on your wisdom and your emotional labor and your guidance, but then they still didn't really value you until you pulled your energy away. And it's because on some level, they only saw the kid who came from nothing energy and not the power you actually hold. They saw the surface and not the soul. And some of you have worked so hard. You've studied, you've learned, you've improved, you've gone above and beyond, and maybe you still felt invisible in these certain environments. You've still felt overlooked or passed by for people doing half of the effort. And it's frustrating because you know that you could do the job better. You know that you could run this entire company. You could build the brand. You could handle that project. You could love someone properly the way they need to be loved, but you need someone to let you in the room first. It's that kind of energy of like, I would be the best at this if someone just gave me the chance. That's the energy. But sometimes if you're in the wrong room and people can't see that, it's not that you need to force them to see it, it's that you need to enter a new room. And just like in that past life, you don't need the whole world to recognize you. You just need that one person with real influence to clock your worth, to see your worth the way you do. You need that one person to be like, no, they're the one. And that's when the switch flips. The same way that past life authority figure vouched for you, and suddenly everyone wanted you, that pattern repeats. You're not meant to prove yourself to everyone. You're waiting for that one person who can elevate you, not just validate you, to give you that opportunity to show the world how talented you are. And anytime someone does treat you like the Queen of Pentacles, fully respected, trusted, invested in, appreciated, that is not random. That's a glimpse of your real frequency. That's a reminder of how you're supposed to be treated. And in turn, your soul kind of affirms that. Your soul says, yep, this is correct. I deserve this. And when the opposite happens, when you're dismissed, underestimated, treated as replaceable, your soul will reject it. It literally won't let you settle. That's why you might get bored or burnt out or detached or fed up, or why a switch suddenly flips and you're like, you know what, I'm done. It's not because you're high maintenance. You have high standards, and those standards have been earned across lifetimes. So if you're currently in a place where you are having that moment where you're like, I'm just meant for more, that's not delusion, that is memory. It's a reminder you are not wrong. You might be misplaced, but you're not wrong for that. So Pile 4, the message from your past life is very, very clear. If you have always had that deep, unshakable knowing that you are meant to be doing more than what you're currently doing, that you are built for bigger rooms, higher roles, deeper purpose, again, that is not delusion, it's memory. It's the echo of a life where you were trusted, valued, respected, not because of luck, not because you begged to be seen, but because your skill, your wisdom, your integrity made it impossible not to choose you. And that soul memory is still active in you now. You were always an asset. With the Queen of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles, your soul is saying, when you care, you become unstoppable. When you're invested, when you're lit up, when you're in something that feels worth your time and talent, you are the hardest worker in the room. You're the most competent, you're the most dedicated, the most masterful. And you don't do it for praise or for ego, you do it because excellence is your default setting when you're in alignment. But the duality is this, the moment something becomes unworthy of you, whether it's a person or a situation, when you are undervalued, underpaid, talked over, boxed in, or treated like a replaceable extra instead of the asset you actually are, something in you shuts down. You might go into quiet quitting mode, burnout mode, why am I even here mode, because your soul literally cannot tolerate being in spaces where your gifts are wasted. That's not laziness, that's alignment, rejecting what is beneath you. And that's why you may have had moments, or years even for some of you, of feeling overlooked, underestimated, or misplaced, because the universe will not let you settle long term in any environment that refuses to recognize your worth and sovereignty. Your destiny is not mediocre. Your soul will sabotage anything that tries to make you small. The Wheel of Fortune and the Four of Wands is your past self saying, that era is over. Your look is shifting. Your rooms are changing. They're being redecorated, refurbished. Your audience is changing. You are being moved into spaces where people already know who you are without you having to prove it first. You are entering circles where your gifts are assumed, not questioned, where you're paid for your wisdom and your worth, not exploited for it, where people ask for your opinion because they know that it matters. And you're not going to have to fight tooth and nail to be believed anymore. You have done the Eight of Pentacles grafting and grinding. You've done the prove yourself era. You've done that I'll carry the whole team on my back even though nobody notices era. Now you're stepping into the Queen of Pentacles era, receiving because you earned it, being respected because you are it, being chosen because you radiate value. That Page of Cups and the Messenger is saying the offer, the invitation, the email, the DM, the phone call, the opportunity, that is coming. And when it does, do not shrink from it, do not be frightened, do not talk yourself out of it. That's for my self-sabotagers. Do not say, I'm not qualified, I'm not ready. You are ready, you've been ready. The only thing that hasn't aligned until now is the environment. But with that Three of Wands and the Two of Pentacles, expansion is unfolding. Bigger platforms, wider reach, more responsibility, but the kind that feels energizing, not draining. You won't have to sacrifice your identity to belong. You'll belong because of who you are. So the advice your past life self wants to give you, they're saying stop trying to be grateful for crumbs. Stop tolerating roles that keep you nice and small. Stop dimming your standard because other people can't meet it. And stop apologizing for knowing that you're meant for more. You are not too much. You've just been surrounded by people who aren't enough for what you carry and possess. Your real life begins when you walk towards the ones who see you the way the past life king or queen or advisor saw you. Irreplaceable, indispensable, masterful and trusted, because the truth is you're not learning how to be chosen, you were the choice, and now the world is about to catch up with you. So that is what I'm getting for your reading today, powerful. That is where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. If you did make it this far, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, for receiving, and for letting me tap into your beautiful energy. I truly do appreciate you more than you know. We are right in the middle of Scorpio season, so happy rebirth season to all my little phoenixes out there, and a very special happy birthday to my fellow Scorpios. If it is your birthday too, happy solar return. If not, happy transformation season anyway, because this energy is powerful for all of us. If this reading resonated, please let me know. Please like, please comment, please share, hype, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I see every single little bit of engagement. I notice it. I appreciate it endlessly, and honestly, it's the best birthday gift you could give me. It also just genuinely helps the channel grow, and it lets me know that these messages are landing where they are meant to. With that said, I'm sending you so much love, so much protection, and so much clarity on your path. Thank you again for being here. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, powerful. Hi, collective. If you chose Pile 5 and you chose the Pacific Northwest Tarot and you chose this little turtle sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. Today's reading is titled Past Life Magic Your Soul Still Holds, Ancient Gifts You've Carried Across Lifetimes. If you would like a full breakdown regarding absolutely everything this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I go through everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I recommend checking those out so you know what to expect with this reading today. But for the purpose of this reading specifically, let me just put it like this. If you have ever seen The Lion King, think of that scene where Mufasa appears in the clouds and tells Simba to remember who the F he is. That's the exact energy of this reading, okay? I'm Mufasa, you're Simba. Listen to your daddy because I'm here to remind you of why you're so powerful. This is all about the ancient gifts you already came into this life with, the ones your soul never forgot. We are not learning something new, we are remembering. Sorry about the lights, by the way, they keep flickering. Don't know why. But yeah, without further hesitation, let's have a look at what came through for you today, Pal 5. I'm just going to pop your little turtle to one side. We're going to start off by looking at your oracle cards. So over here from the past life oracle, we have insanity. Great start. Delusions. Hallucinations, hysteria, mania. Okay, that's really interesting. Some of you could have been diagnosed with as being insane, as being clinically insane. No, I didn't mean that. I mean, maybe some of you identify that way, but I'm thinking of mood disorders and things like that. If you're a woman, especially at this stage, I don't know a woman who hasn't correctly or incorrectly been diagnosed with some kind of mood disorder. I'm not saying that to undermine those things or to stigmatize them. I'm just saying isn't that just life as a woman? Constantly being told that you're insane and then being right about things. So that could be pertinent to this reading. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent already. Let's have a look at the other cards. So from the Wandering Soul Oracle, we've got Grounded. Okay, that's interesting with the Insanity card. Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, that might be relevant. From the Green Witch Oracle, we have got number 37, Healing, Geranium. So you could have been a healer. Maybe you are a healer in this life or a past life. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Lovers in the Air. So Venusian energy, I think we mentioned Taurus already, but Libra, a strong Venus placement could be relevant to you guys. Let's have a look at your tarot. We have got the Page of Wands. I'm clarifying the Page of Wands. We have got the Ace of Swords. We have got Temperance. Clarifying Temperance. We've got the Empress reversed. We have got the Four of Swords. And clarifying the Four of Swords, we have got the High Priestess. We have got the Eight of Wands. Clarifying the Eight of Wands, we've got the Sun. So I always like to start these readings by going through a few confirmations. As always, these do not have to apply for this to be your pile. These are just extra little specific winks from Spirit for the ones who need the extra clarity. If something hits, claim it. If not, move on like a polite little ghost. So the first thing I want to mention is the number 37, which is showing up on this healing card. Somebody could literally be 37 years old or turning 37 soon. Somebody could be born on the 3rd or 7th of a month. This could also be 3 to 7 days, weeks or months until something meaningful happens. March or July babies, life path 3 or 7. Or if we combine the 3 and 7, the number 10, so the 10th or 10th house energy, Capricorn energy, could be big, career, reputation, legacy. I'm also getting huge water sign energy here, especially Pisces, but also Cancer, Scorpio, and strong 8th or 12th house placements. Definitely my pile of mystics, mediums, dreamwalkers, people who have visions before they happen, people who astral travel without even trying. I wouldn't at all be surprised if this is my pile of other tarot readers. I know some of you guys watch me and I love you and I watch you right back, which is so bloody flattering for me. I can't tell you how flipping flattering it is. But yeah, my pile of astrologers, witches, I was going to say witches, so maybe that show, is it The Witcher? Is it a show or a film? Maybe that's relevant. Healers, Reiki, energy workers, people who talk to ghosts like it's a group chat. You look normal, but you're not fooling anyone on the astral plane. That's you. There's a big theme of water and sea life coming through here. Obviously, you did pick the turtle sticker, but I'm also seeing beaches, shorelines, ships, washed up shells. I'm seeing do you know when you play Animal Crossing and you walk along the shore and pick up conches? I'm seeing that. So somebody could play Animal Crossing or cozy games. I'm getting nautical vibes. I'm seeing anchors, specifically anchor tattoos. Also blue and white stripes, blue and white striped decor or clothing. Somebody's bathroom could be ocean themed. Somebody could own a blanket or a towel with waves on it. Someone is in the Navy or has family in the Navy. Or someone keeps saying, like, I just need to be near the sea. Somebody loves to be by water. Very specific, but somebody has just bought a new knife, like a new sharp kitchen knife or hunting knife. Somebody has also bought a new bed or mattress recently. Like, they've got new bedding, new pillows, something like that. Somebody has been home shopping recently. I get this in my readings a lot, but one of you, don't know who it is, but one of you like goes to IKEA every few months. I'm getting something about like IKEA, HomeSense, B&M, The Range. You've had a whole trolley full of plants and candles and storage boxes. Somebody has recently watched or rewatched Orange is the New Black, specifically the character Nikki, played by, is it Natasha Lyonne? Is that how you pronounce her name? I'm not sure. So names like Nikki, Nicole, Natasha, Tash, or even Leon energy could be relevant. And to be honest, her whole story arc, there are themes surrounding addiction, relapse, found family, jail, homelessness, recovery. That might be literal for somebody here, or it could be tied to a past life. That's not for everyone. I just want to mention it if it is for you. This space is never a place of shame or judgment or anything like that. Somebody has recently bought a long camel or beige coat. I'm also seeing a roll neck jumper. Also, somebody has said out loud in the past few days, why did it suddenly get so freezing? I'm hearing within the last few days. I'm hearing cloves, like the spice, or clover. That could be a pet name or a nickname. I'm also hearing Ernest or Errol. I don't know whether that's a name or a street or like somebody's granddad. A middle name, maybe? I don't know. Somebody has been obsessed in the past with the Bermuda Triangle. I'm seeing sacred geometry, Da Vinci type symbolism. I'm seeing triangles, glowing geometric shapes. Somebody closes their eyes and they see a lot of shapes, like glowing. I'm getting something about maths, trigonometry, architecture. Somebody with a major in design. I'm also thinking of the word like trigger generally. So somebody here maybe has PTSD, CPTSD, anxiety triggers, or somebody literally works with triggers, pew pew energy. I'm wording it like that so the algorithm chills the fuck out. I'm saying that whilst swearing and getting the algorithm upset anyway. Somebody could be in the military or in security or police, or somebody goes for to the shooting range for a hobby. Somebody has healing hands. I think we mentioned Reiki, touch healing, getting messages from objects. I'm also hearing the word foster. Somebody here could be a foster parent or has been in the past, or a foster child could have been you. It could be a name, a brand, something about a past life. I'm also hearing, I don't know why, but I'm hearing the word, it's not even a word, I'm hearing fostile, like hostile, but with an F. Fostile, I don't know what that means, I'm really sorry, but I just mention these things as they're coming through. And yeah, to talk about the angel number 37, because I missed that, that can be a sign that emotional chains are breaking and you're about to express yourself freely without fear. And that actually lines up eerily well with the cards here, especially with Temperance and especially with the Empress reversed. We're going to talk about that. Oh, I'm also getting the colour turquoise really, really strongly. Like that blue-green ocean meets crystal vibe. Someone here could have a turquoise colour birthstone. They could wear turquoise jewellery or just feel really drawn to that colour lately. You know, turquoise could also be your lucky colour or your aura colour. And if that's you, that makes sense, because turquoise energy is all about like calming the nervous system, emotional protection, spiritual clarity, and truth speaking without fear. It's very much like a I am safe to express myself energy, which ties perfectly into that angel number 37 message we talked about earlier. If all or even one of those things hit in your soul, you are in the right place. If nothing hit, you are probably still in the right pile. Just keep listening for the message that claims you back, because we are about to get started. And I love this energy already. So pile 5, this spread is so interesting to me because straight away, I am getting that in literally every single one of your lifetimes, you've carried some form of this high priestess energy, like across the board. So I honestly won't be surprised if even in this life, this is the pile of mystics, the pile of intuitives, occultists, the witches, the tarot readers, the healers, the people who accidentally predict things in conversation and everyone's like, how the fuck did you know that? That's the vibe. There's this feeling of, why do I want to say primordial wisdom with you? Like, you've been here before many times, and every life you've ever lived, you have brought that like I just know things frequency with you. But what is fascinating is that I'm getting the sense that you didn't always express this gift in the same way in all these lifetimes. It's like your soul has worn different versions of this archetype across lifetimes, almost like you're putting on a different outfit in each life. You know, sometimes you were the pure, sacred, temple level oracle, and sometimes, you know, maybe that gift got used in ways that weren't fully aligned with the highest version of you. And I say that, you know, not because you were bad, but because the world around you required a level of survival and masking or strategy. So there's that contrast, but all of it comes from the same thing, like all of it comes from source. Some lives you were held up as holy, and others it's like you had to protect or distort your power to some degree just to exist. And we will get into that because I think it's important to kind of break that down and give some hopefully tangible context. But first, I want to talk about your most ancient, most healed, most high frequency version that I'm getting, because I'm seeing a past life where you were literally revered. I'm talking priestess, oracle, shaman, prophet, the kind of person entire communities would travel days to consult with. That sort of like all-seeing grandmother of the village, that kind of energy, the one people didn't question because your word was law, essentially. You were the one that people came to for answers, for healing, for herbal medicine even, maybe for spiritual counsel, for big life decisions. You were respected because you knew. Not from books, not from study, but from an ancient inner channel. This is High Priestess energy in its purest form. The one who speaks to the unseen, the one who carries the unspoken truths, the one whose wisdom predates language. And that's probably why in this life you might even feel pulled towards some of this stuff like tarot, like divination, like astrology, mediumship, Reiki, dream interpretation, plant medicine even, not because you're learning it, but because you're remembering it. And here's the thing that's crucial about that particular lifetime. In that older lifetime, this kind of thing wasn't weird, it wasn't woo-woo, it wasn't just like, oh, she's just out there, she's just spiritual, she's just a bit insane. It was respected. You know, in some cultures, you were literally like fed by the village because everyone knew that your work kept the whole community alive. There was no like, oh, well, show us the proof, we need the proof, we need the stats. You were the proof. Your accuracy, your healing power, your knowing, that was your resume. It spoke for itself. And I'm just thinking about this in like context of like how much things have changed. And I know that's a nuanced discussion, but like in this lifetime, you would have been known as like a seer, and that's why you would have been respected, a seer or a high priestess. But can you imagine now, like in today's society, putting like seer or high priestess on your like Tesco application? Like you're getting an interview and you know the employer is saying, oh, so what do you bring to the team? And you're like, well, I can foresee when somebody is about to knock over a pallet of apples and the employer is just like, you're hired. Yeah, love that. Honestly, I would hire you. Like, I think that's really useful. Could be useful in a lot of jobs. But, you know, my point is here, in the modern world, this kind of ancient wisdom is either dismissed, it's mocked, or it's treated like a quirky personality trait instead of what it really is, which is a sacred technology that humans have forgotten how to respect to some degree. And I just want to say at this point, like, I am a believer in science, okay? I'm not over here like, oh, ditch your meds, like, don't take your antidepressants, just touch grass, breathe on crystals, and you'll heal. No, like, I am very much we have to have balance here, and, you know, we should trust the research and trust the data. Because humans, we were meant to evolve and we were meant to learn and discover new things. And medicine, psychology, history, all of that matters. But so does the old knowledge. The herbalism, the folklore, the ritual, the intuition, especially women's intuition. You know, the stuff that elders passed down that wasn't just woo, it was lived experience. Because let's be real, you know, not everything your grandma told you was nonsense. Some of it was superstition, yes, but some of it was straight facts wrapped in symbolism. And the distortion we have now comes from living in a world that's been built almost entirely in distorted masculine energy, you know, logic with no intuition, science with no soul, structure with no spirit. And you are the bridge between the two, which is why this lifetime feels like such a tug of war for you, because your soul remembers the era when your gifts were prized, and now you live in a world where people think intuition is delusion unless it can be peer reviewed. And yet you're still the same soul, you're still the one who knows, like, you know what you know. You carry, I'm getting something about the crone archetype, the wise elder, the keeper of mysteries, the one who has already lived the maiden and the mother phases and now moves through life with spiritual authority. Not like old, ancient, not out of touch, just beyond illusion. The crone in her highest form is the healer, the truth teller, the guide, the one who doesn't need external validation because she is the validation, the one who sees past ego, past performance, past surface. And yeah, there is a shadow side to the crone too. Bitterness, cynicism, isolation, that witch in the woods who refuses to deal with anyone, that energy. And I'll be honest here, some of your past lives did slip into that, or other manifestations of that shadow side, I guess. And that is where the insanity, mania, delusion card from the Oracle is coming in. We're going to talk about that because that's really important. But for now, you do need to hear this. At your core, you are, and always have been, a vessel for timeless wisdom. And, that's why in this life even you might find that people trauma dump on you, strangers tell you their secrets. That's why you can't unknow things even when you try. That's why you sense things before they happen. That's why you don't fully trust surface logic, because you can feel the undercurrent. You are not learning your intuition, you are remembering it. This is all a remembrance. So you could have been a fortune teller. You could have been that priestess everyone went to when they needed answers, an empath, a feeler, somebody gifted in all of the clairs, clairaudience, clairsentience, the whole psychic toolkit, and you were probably adored for this. But then later in your soul's journey, there was another significant life where you still had those same abilities, except the role you were forced to play was different. And I don't want to say it was the villain, because you were never actually the villain, but that is the role society cast you in, maybe, because this time, instead of being revered for your gifts, you were demonized for them. In your earlier lifetime, the crone life, the sacred life, you were honored. You were the oracle, the seer, the healer, the one with access to the unseen realm. But in this later incarnation, you were born into a world where the exact same gifts were now seen as dangerous, a threat, something that needed to be controlled. This feels very much like the shift from pagan or goddess-centered societies into stricter religious or government-led doctrine. A movement away from nature and intuition and the divine feminine and straight into patriarchy, hierarchy, and fear. So instead of being crowned for your abilities, you were punished for them. This is the era where they burned the witches, where people were literally executed for owning too many herbs, or having a bad menstrual cycle, or simply being too beautiful or too strange, where spiritual gifts were labeled as madness, where women were given diagnoses like hysteria, which I believe it's literally named after the uterus, right? Where, the treatment was being publicly humiliated, locked away, force-fed, or placed on the infamous rest cure, strict bed rest, isolation, no reading, no writing, no learning, no stimulation. The exact method that drove women insane, not cured them. And that's the thing, what people called insanity back then was often just a woman refusing to shrink. And even now, we see the residue of that. We see how women still get gaslit even in medical settings. How you can go to the doctor 10 times saying I know something is wrong in my body, only to be told, oh, it's just anxiety. Oh, have you tried losing weight? Have you tried being less fat? Have you tried being more happy? And then on the 11th visit, you were finally referred to the right place. And guess what? You were right the entire time. It's how your pain gets dismissed and you're expected to just cope when you're giving birth to a whole human being, whilst a man gets morphine for flipping stub toe. It's how a woman can be traumatized and violated and exhausted, operating from survival mode, and the system still labels her unstable instead of unheard. So if you've ever been called too emotional, too dramatic, too sensitive, crazy, hormonal, hysterical, your past life self is like, yeah, that's familiar. Tale as old as time. That's why this version of you, in that later lifetime, went dark feminine, I want to say. Not because you were evil, not because you were heartless, but because you were backed into a corner by a world that decided your softness was a threat, your intuition was demonic, and your wisdom was illegal. You adapted, you evolved, you weaponized what they tried to punish you for. So maybe you became the femme fatale because the saint wasn't allowed to survive. You learn how to use your beauty, your magnetism, your ability to get inside someone's psyche, not for fun, not for cruelty, but because that was your only currency left in a world that exiled your real power. You used seduction the way someone else would use a sword. You could make people fall in love with you at first sight if you wanted to, not because you were shallow, but because you were strategic and because you knew they were shallow. You know, maybe you were that wife whispering in your tyrant husband's ear, pulling every string behind the scenes because women weren't allowed to be the ones in charge, even though you were the genius making the decisions. Maybe you were locked in an institution and called mad, and you seduced the guard into letting you out. Maybe you were a schmex worker who let men think that they were in control, and then you robbed them blind the second they fell asleep. You weren't the witch, you were the witch they shouldn't have fucked with. Because, you know, if we use one of those examples, if people only saw you as a body, a vessel, a temptation, a problem, you learned how to flip that script. If their weakness was lust, you use that as leverage. If their weapon was shame, you turned it into charm. You became the villain in their story so you could be the hero in your own. And you didn't do it because you lost your soul. You did it because the world refused to recognize that you had one. You adapted to the man's world. And when I say the man, I'm not talking about like Bob from down the road. I'm talking about the systems set up against us, you know, because the man's world made it clear, if you can't beat the system, you have to play it. And here's the thing, in terms of this life, this present life that you're in right now, you have carried both of those past life energies into this life. So the sacred high priestess and the dark feminine femme fatale survivor, you let people believe whatever they want to believe about you because you know your own gifts. You know you could outsmart, outfeel, outintuit anyone in the room if you needed to. And that's discernment, that, you know, I just know instinct. It's ancient, it's bone deep. So a lot of you are going to recognize aspects of yourself in both versions of who you've been. The healer, the oracle, the soft intuitive, and the femme fatale, the one who says, if I have to play the villain to stay free, then I'll do it. Not because you're malicious, not because you want to manipulate, but because when people try to suppress you, silence you, shame you, or underestimate you, that old past life version steps forward and says, absolutely not. You know, it's that energy of like, if your brain is so small that you fall for the superficial and you choose to reduce me to my beauty or my body, that's your weakness, not my sin, not my shame to carry. But this lifetime is about merging both sides. It's about integration, shadow and light, being the Empress upright and knowing when to pull the Empress reversed out of your pocket like a weapon. It's learning how to use your feminine power, not to survive anymore, but to lead, to heal, to create, to be sovereign and to be soft at the same time. And I'm going to give some like present day real world examples now. So if any of these have happened to you, if these resonate for you, this is absolutely an extra confirmation that this is your pile. So the first one is if you've experienced jealousy, punishment, or bullying just for being beautiful or feminine or magnetic. It's if you get a vibe about people and you are told you're exaggerating, but you are always right, and people figure that out later. If anybody has tried to control your expression, your clothing, your tone, your body, your emotions, if you've ever been called too much, too sensitive, too dramatic, too crazy, or hysterical, that word just for telling the truth. If your intuition, your pain, or your wisdom has been dismissed, especially when it comes to your body and your health and what you know deep in your soul, you were never crazy. Maybe you were the only one in the room who was actually grounded. And your knowledge, it comes from that ancient wisdom, that earth wisdom. It comes from the feminine line, from Mother Nature, from the womb, from the moon, from the places that science hasn't caught up to yet. And yeah, in some lifetimes, that knowing got twisted, it got corrupted or forced into the shadows because society was twisted and corrupted, not you. Now, in this life, it's like your purpose is to reclaim it all, your sensuality, your softness, your power, your right to take up space without apologizing or shrinking or dimming or being manageable. You are remembering that these gifts were never ever something to hide. Other people just convinced you that they were shameful because they couldn't control them. And part of your mission in this life is to heal the feminine in yourself and in others. You do not have to be a woman, but this is definitely a message that is about healing the feminine in whatever way it applies to you. It's remembering your feminine power that they tried to dim because they were so scared of it. You know, people will give women all these rules and say it's because that's our place, you know, we have to stay in our place. And I just want to say this because it's coming through so strongly for this pile. You know, people don't cage what is weak, they cage what is powerful. You know, the feminine has never been silenced because it was meant to be quiet or small naturally. It was silenced because it was too powerful to be left untamed. If women were truly meant to stay in the background, we wouldn't need laws, cages, shame, or control to keep us there. You don't build a cage around something that's naturally docile. You build a cage because you know the moment the door opens, it will roar, it will rise, it will remember what it is. The feminine was never meant to be managed. We were never meant to be domesticated. And they don't fear our weakness. They fear what happens when we realize we were never weak to begin with. So yeah, you are here to heal the feminine in yourself and in others. Some of you will do that by speaking, teaching, mentoring, storytelling, creating art, writing poetry, making films, running a podcast, or simply existing unapologetically. Some of you will do it by helping other women reconnect to their bodies, their autonomy, their schmexuality, their intuition, their cyclical nature. Some of you could be midwives or doulas, womb healers, cycle coaches, therapists, advocates, herbalists, readers, or rebels without a marketing plan. You know, some of you are maybe healing your own relationship with schmexuality. That could be choosing celibacy until you feel safe, or it could be choosing freedom and exploration because pleasure is your birthright. Some of you are reclaiming motherhood or rejecting it. Some of you are getting hysterectomies or choosing to be child-free, all from empowerment instead of shame. On the other hand, some of you are here to raise children, raise daughters specifically, who will never bow to a system that tried to break you in past lives. Some of you are here to say, you know, no, women are not crazy. We are tired of hearing that. Women are exhausted, we're unheard, we're overworked, we're dismissed, we're nervous system fried, and we're still expected to fucking smile and be polite. Some of you are here to teach about the medical system, you know, that it was built around men's bodies, men's hormones, men's timelines, and that feminine health, it's not a niche topic, it's half of the population. You know, some of you are here to bring back the art, the intuition, the mystery, the emotional intelligence the world keeps trying to call useless. All of you, no matter the scale, are part of this reclaiming, and you're doing it with intuition and empathy, not with violence, through wisdom, not war, through presence rather than permission, through art and not apology. You don't fight the old system by obeying it, you outgrow it. And I do really think it's important to say this, especially for those of you, if you have ever had mental health issues, if you've ever struggled with things like anxiety or depression or intrusive thoughts, mania, psychosis, dissociation, OCD, whatever it may be. I do think it's important to mention that intuition and mental spiraling are not the same thing. And I know that you probably know that, but sometimes we just need to ground that knowledge, because I'm someone who has lived in both places, someone who knows what it's like to suddenly question, you know, is this a download or am I just unwell right now? Like, am I going insane again? Because here is the truth that a lot of people don't talk about, especially in the spiritual community. You know, being spiritually open doesn't make you immune to mental health struggles. Like, a spiritual awakening doesn't automatically mean that every thought is divine. And not everything that comes through your mind is guidance. Sometimes it's your nervous system screaming. You know, sometimes, especially when we are wide open energetically, the input is coming in faster than we can filter it, and the brain starts locking onto things and attaching meaning to them before we've really had time to ground or assess or regulate. And when you are someone who has maybe been gaslit, dismissed, controlled, when you already have trauma or distrust for systems and for authority, it's very, very easy for paranoia and intuition to get braided together like two strands of the same hair, but they feel completely different. You know, anxiety, I always say, is loud and intuition is quiet. You know, anxiety is what if, and intuition says this is. Anxiety spirals wildly out of control, whereas intuition lands softly. Anxiety needs proof, it needs patterns, it needs Googling, it needs conspiracy confirmation, but intuition doesn't need evidence, it already knows. So you don't need to convince yourself of an intuitive truth, it just is. You don't have to argue with yourself about it or find receipts to back it up. There's no like frantic searching, no urge to obsessively research. Intuition arrives like just a calm click, like, oh, that's it. Sometimes with no explanation at all, just that certainty. Whereas anxiety will have you building a 3-part thesis in your notes app at 2 a.m. with bullet points and screenshots and graphs. Anxiety wants an audience. Intuition doesn't care who believes it. So if you're ever unsure, that alone is usually the answer. Intuition doesn't panic, paranoia does. And your past life self wants you to know you're not here to live in fear. You are not here to defend or explain yourself. You don't have to prove you are sane, spiritual, intuitive, gifted, or right. Let them think you are crazy if they want. That is none of your business, quite frankly. Your power is not in convincing them. Your power is in staying rooted, regulated, embodied, and sovereign, which is why they are heavily emphasizing grounding as a soul tool in this life. So in terms of gentle advice, grounding practices that you might benefit from, definitely nature. I know that sounds very like, go and touch grass, but seriously, like, go and touch grass. Put your feet on bare grass, on soil, on sand, on stone. Hold grounding crystals, especially smoky quartz, obsidian as well. Eat in warm and earthy root-based foods. Eat potatoes. You never need a reason to eat more potatoes, part 5. Put your hands in running water or on a tree trunk. Lie flat on the floor and breathe. Name 5 things that you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. I know that's a very common one for like CBT. Put on slow rhythmic music and sway your hips as a divine feminine grounding tool. I would recommend checking out the Workout Witch on Instagram. Also repeat this mantra to yourself. I am in my body, I am in the present, I am safe. So what the past life version of you and what spirit wants you to know at this time is you do not have to fight to be taken seriously anymore. You don't have to scream your truth, you can simply embody it. You are not meant to be tamed, you're not meant to be small, digestible, or reasonable. You are meant to be free, you're meant to be curious, you're meant to be expressive, you're meant to be sensual, you're meant to be wild, you're meant to be knowing, you're meant to be mystical, and you're meant to be real. And your past life self wants to end on this note. They're saying, you know, they tried to shame you for your power, they tried to silence you, tame you, diagnose you, punish you, tame your voice, tame your body, tame your intuition. But this lifetime is where the story starts to reverse. This is where you stop asking permission to exist in your full feminine force. You are not here to be controlled, you are here to remember. You are not reclaiming new power, you are returning to what has always been yours. The only difference now is that you are no longer scared of it. So that is what I am getting for you, Part 5, and that is where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. If you made it this far, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen. Thank you for being open to receiving and for letting me tap into your energy. I truly appreciate you more than you could ever know. We're right in the middle of Scorpio season, so happy rebirth season to all my little phoenixes out there, and a very special happy birthday to my fellow Scorpios. If it's your birthday too, happy solar return. If not, happy transformation season anyway, because this energy is powerful for all of us. Now, if this reading resonated, please let me know. Please like, please comment, please share, hype, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I see every single bit of engagement. I notice it, I appreciate it, and honestly, it's the best birthday gift you could give me. It also genuinely helps the channel grow, and it lets me know that these messages are landing where they are meant to. With that said, I'm sending you so much love, I'm sending you so much protection. and so much clarity on your path. Thank you again for being here, Pal 5. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.